You should go all the way and just say template.
Template. That sounds so weird. The template.
Yes, well, probably to make this easier next time, let's create a template.
Yes, we have a good template for this video today, which is kind of true. Outline, template. What's the difference between the two?
Outline, template.
Outline, template. And there's your banter.
That's it.
Free video.
All
right, let's do this.
Glad to be back.
I hope you remember how to do this. I am
glad to be back.
I am too. All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 69 of the Goulet Pencast, where fountain pens are still a thing. I am Brian Goulet.
I'm Drew Brown.
And we are here from Goulet Pens to deliver this casual and informal, tangential and extraneous, superfluous and extemporaneous fountain pen show, where we talk about what's going on at the Goulet Pen Company and in our fountain pen lives. In today's show, we have quite a bit to catch up on. We missed last week due to my being ill, and not in like the good way, like
not like
ill, but ill like ill.
That's it.
Thankfully, not the cove, but other sinusy things. You don't need details about this. And we're going to be off next week for Thanksgiving, so we're trying to make up enough of a hearty pencast today to satiate 3 weeks worth of pencastiness.
It shall have gusto.
We'll try. We have plenty of new products to mention. We'll share our most terrifying pen and ink disasters. This was a fun one to go down memory lane in preparation for this pencast. We have some funny ink names. We're going to talk about which pens are the absolute best sellers. We'll be bringing in our customer care manager, Adrianne, to share her perspective on the Goulet Pens bottom shelf and what that's all about. We have a special guest spot from Ian Schon of Schon Pens, as well as we're going to spotlight the Diplomat Nexus pen with a newfangled filling mechanism. So that should be interesting. So launch these things. Well, we launched the Schon over our hiatus. Diplomat's coming soon, but I don't want to spoil it all. We also have plenty of personal shenanigans to discuss. And so I think you should go make yourself a cup of coffee or 3, go grab some chocolate, and sit back while we kick off this week's episode with your feedback.
Alrighty, so the first several nuggets of feedback consisted of many Happy Fountain Pen Day messages to us from our friends out in the lands. And so happy, quite belated Fountain Pen Day to you all. Actually, no, we already said Fountain Pen Day because that was... We said that last Friday. So
now we can say
great. So thank you for all those happy Fountain Pen Day messages to us. We appreciate it. Also, a lot of comments about us having said wow a lot last episode.
Really?
Apparently.
Like more than usual?
Yeah. There were multiple comments. And the first one I didn't even get. I'm like, they're like, oh, I'm not going to let you say, you're officially not able to say wow anymore. I'm like, that's random. Why'd they say that? And then I kept on reading and then more comments about like, no, we need to do a compilation of that. I'm like, wait, what, really? Apparently we said wow a lot.
I guess we're just really impressed with ourselves.
Like, what pen did we talk about? Did we talk about something that was really impressive?
This is weeks ago.
I don't even remember.
Especially because the one that we published 2 weeks ago, we actually recorded, 3 weeks ago, I think? Because we doubled up and did it in advance. Yeah. So we feel a little out of practice today. No, I hope it goes well.
What were we so impressed with?
I don't remember anything that we did in the last pencast.
Wow.
It's kind of amazing.
Anyway, so...
But now we're going to be thinking about it a lot. So we're going to say wow a lot, and then we'll apologize.
Now we're just going to say Excelsior. All right. And then a message from my friend Geckonia. Hi.
What's up?
Ian Schon has given me a new appreciation for fountain pens.
Ooh.
I enjoy seeing his behind-the-scenes videos and am in love with his pens. Well, and you are in luck.
Yeah, you are.
Because today... you're going to get some of that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not physically get some of that like the pen. I mean, you could.
No, you'll have to buy your own pen. But we will support you in getting you probably more excited than you need to be.
Visual appeal from the Schon Penness. Got some feedback here from Jen P. Says, Brian talking about chocolate, so intense. When
Brian does
like a double rainbow.
There's not a lot that Brian does without intensity.
I mean... when I'm passionate about something, it shows through whether I like it or not.
Yes.
I think we share that in common, Drew, maybe.
Yes, that's true.
When Brian said, "I will find it," it made me think of Liam Neeson, like from, what's that movie, Taken? That's really funny. That's really funny.
It's like, because you were talking about how
he's the Liam Neeson of chocolates.
you were talking about like if there's like
chocolate
free
in the
chocolate,
house.
Yeah, if there's free chocolate to the office,
yeah,
or free
I will find it. If you hide it, I will come for you. I will hunt you down, and I will eat you. I can't do a proper Liam Neeson accent,
no, that's not bad.
It's somewhat of that vibe.
Oh man,
right? Yeah, it's really good. I've definitely done that. We have like some like s'mores stuff, s'mores supplies, because it's that time of year. You know what I mean? We've got like a little dinky little portable, like, I hate to call it a fire pit because it's really not that. It's like a metal bowl that you can burn things in.
Yeah.
That's kind of all it is. It's kind of flimsy, but you know, it's okay to make s'mores. And so I'm like, I'm gonna like get ready for fall. I'm going to get some like fresh graham crackers and not the ones that have like been in the back of the pantry.
Oh, yeah.
You bite into them and you're like, they're kind of soft, you know?
Oh, I know.
My
kid's been sick for the last couple of days, and I'm like, how about some saltines, bro? I'm like, ooh, we got some.
Oh,
I opened it up, and I could tell they were like low. I'm like, all right, this sleeve that I'm looking at has been twisted and pushed down to the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
So I tasted the first one. I'm like, nope. So I kept on going. I skipped a few.
Nope.
I got to the very end, and like the last four were
okay.
okay. So I'm like, all right, buddy, we got you.
Right. Nice. Things you do for your kid. Okay, Caitlin said, oh, no, I never finished my story.
S'mores.
Sorry. S'mores, yeah. So part of s'mores is you have chocolate bars. Right?
Yes, you do.
Well, you know, if there are...
For supplies for the s'mores, not for eating.
I know. The graham crackers are fine. They're always there. They'll go stale. Nobody's going to just straight up eat graham crackers. But my kids will eat the marshmallows and I will eat the chocolate.
So does that mean you have like just graham crackers in the house now?
Well, we still have everything.
Okay, good.
I bought plenty.
All
I bought like a
right.
fresh supply.
Because you know yourself.
This year. We've done s'mores like twice now. So I'm like, yeah, that's not bad. But I definitely have like dipped into the chocolate bars a little bit because I have them on top of the fridge. Don't tell my kids. I have them on top of the fridge. But now my kids are tall enough where they could definitely reach it.
Oh, no.
So I just have to bank on the fact that if they don't see it in their eye line, they'll forget that it's there.
Excellent.
Which is why they can't find their shoes in the morning because the shoes are on the ground and they're just looking. They're like, I don't see my shoes. I'm like, look down.
Yeah.
They're right by your feet. They're right there. Just
like, God
right
forbid
there.
they're actually in the closet where they're supposed to be, or just like running around like a crazy
no.
person. Like, have you actually checked where they're supposed to be? Because me and your mom probably found them and put them away.
Oh yeah, no, you can't do that. No, if you like, I'm that way too. Like if Rachel like puts my jacket in the closet, I'll look everywhere in the house except for like the coat closet.
See, I'm not like that at all. I live within shoe chaosburg, and
yeah,
I have 2 pair of shoes I keep in the downstairs closet. Everything else goes upstairs. Nothing ever gets on the floor. My slippers, I will put on my slippers to go out and let the dogs out. Every time I will come in, walk through the den, into the office,
okay.
Slip off my slippers, both under the bookshelf.
Do the dogs like move your slippers? Or
No.
Like,
they're mostly under the bookshelf. But yet my wife and my kid, shoes everywhere.
Shoes everywhere. Yeah.
I'm like the one thing holding the universe together in that house.
Wow.
If I start leaving my shoes everywhere, who knows what would happen?
All 4 members of our family are terrible about leaving our shoes everywhere. Well, we have like a little nook area where I'm like, oh, let me just like grab like a milk crate type thing, like one of those plastic things you can put like hang file folders in, and whatever. I think Rachel had it since college or something. So I was like, here's a container. Like, let's just throw our shoes in here. Well, that was one thing when the kids were, smaller.
Yeah.
Now their shoes are as big as
Rachel's at least,
and larger. So it's like there would absolutely be times where there would be nothing in the shoe crate and there's just this pile of shoes all around it, like spilling over into the kitchen. Like Ellie will come home from school and just literally as she walks in through the door, she's like dropping her backpack and papers and shoes come off in like a trail as she walks into the house.
Oh man.
And I'm just like, I'm tripping over stuff like as she's dropping. I'm like, Ellie, what are you doing? You're killing me.
That's like when you die in Halo, all your like crap starts flying everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like your grenades and your gun just goes everywhere.
That's what we're like. That's what the Goulet family's like in our house. Just imagine a whole house of that. Rachel's not so bad. Joseph's a little more particular, but he leaves his shoes places. Me and Ellie are the worst.
At least you know yourself.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? We're not even past the feedback yet. Let's keep going. All right, Caitlin says, I dare Brian to eat chocolate-covered crickets.
No, more chocolate.
Apparently, they taste like Crunch bars.
You do love chocolate.
I would do that.
Yeah.
There's enough chocolate on it. Yeah. Crickets are a good source of protein, right? Like insect
Probably.
protein.
Yeah.
Yeah. You put enough chocolate on anything and you could eat it.
As long as it's not squishy.
Yeah. I don't think crickets are
As long as
squishy
it's nice and
most
crunchy,
anyways.
then
Yeah. I don't
Should be
know.
fine.
It's a thing. I've never had crickets though. Chocolate covered ants, that's a thing. Anyway, I've never had that either. Donovan, last bit of feedback here, says, I have disassembled my Lamy Safaris multiple times. I have never realized the feeds came apart like that. So there you go.
I do remember us doing that. We did the Lamy feed, remember?
We did, yeah. And it like has this like secret compartment.
Bonus
section.
Yeah.
It is an interesting feed. Like most feeds
is.
don't do that.
Very
so
complex.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, I discovered it because I was taking it apart and it like kind of like fell out. So I'm kind of surprised it wasn't even just accidental, but I don't know. There you go. Now you know, Donovan. You get to fiddle around with more parts of your pens than you realized. All right, that's all we got for feedback. Let's talk about some new stuff. All right. So we got a few cool things to talk about today.
Yeah.
One of which is our latest exclusive. I was going to say proprietary, but those mean the same thing. Yeah. Sailor Pro Gear and Pro Gear Slim Stealth Purple. So we're excited about this one. We came out with Stealth Green last time. That's Stealth Purple.
So this is kind of a sequel. Yeah.
It is a bit of a sequel.
A spiritual successor.
Yes. And, not to have any spoiler alerts, but if this kind of thing were to continue in the future, I could foresee a world where there could be other stealth colors.
We are already planning a stealth brown.
And we may or may not have made a final selection on them. So if hypothetically there were suggestions to be had
Light brown.
about a stealth brown, is that a thing? Stealth brown?
We're doing it. Yeah. We confirmed.
Oh, is that so?
I went to Sailor himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Direct to the Sailor.
Yeah?
Yep.
You climbed Mount Sailor and talked to the...
I did my best Brian impression.
boy.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian's not the Sailor Whisperer. That would be Rachel.
Oh.
Rachel's the picker of the colors. Because if it were Brian's thing, every pen would be blue.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. She the look she gives me increases in vitriol every time I bring it up. So at least there's progress. As
we are rubbing more off on each other here, I think she's learning to combat your approach as easily as mine. Which, as we're recording this is the 21st anniversary of when Rachel and I met.
Wow.
Yeah, 21 years ago.
Wow.
We were 17.
Blackjack.
We were in high school. Yeah. We met at a state singing event. She was from one part of the state. I was from another part of the state. I saw her. It was like a Hollywood type moment. It was like it was a choral event. So it was like half girls, half
guys. The crowd parted and there she was at the end.
I'll just go ahead and tell the whole story. Whatever. This is gonna be a long pencast. So the way that it worked out is we had the girls, you have sopranos and altos, you have guys at tenors and basses. I was a tenor too. And we were practicing in separate rooms. And then, to start the event, it was like a 3-day event. And just for logistically whatever, the guys were in the room that was the bigger room. And when we were done with our initial practice, they then combined our two groups. But just the way logistically it ended up happening, all the guys were facing the door as the girls came in a single file line. So just imagine 50, 17, 18-year-old boys watching 50, 17, 18-year-old girls walking in single file. You could just hear, it was like lions growling with prey. You were just watching these girls walk through. But Rachel, out of these 50 girls, jumped out at me, and I was like, I have to go talk to her at some point. That one. And I was very much not
I want to start a fountain pen business with that one.
It's exactly what I thought. All snapped.
That's
clear in that moment. I just had to convince
fountain
her.
Pens, that lady.
Yeah.
Shoes on the floor, all over the house. Can't wait.
Yep. So then later that night, there was a bowling alley. This was a nice hotel. There was a bowling alley in the hotel. Small one. She was bowling there with 11 guys that she knew. She was the only girl. So I, not knowing anybody, was here's this girl that I got to go talk to. She's bowling with 11 guys and she seems to know. I'm just going to walk up and talk to her. That was not my MO. I just walked up and talked to her. I was like, she's that cool. I got to go talk to her. And we hit it off, and I did not leave her side that entire trip. And she almost got sick of me a little bit, but I was like, I don't care. I got to plant. I got to be there. I just got to be there, you know? Just got to hang around, be around all the time. That way no other guy can like get in and talk to this girl because she's special. And it worked. So not stalkerish. She was receptive.
No. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Just realizing how weird that I probably
No. I got you. Shannon friend zoned me before, and I was like, okay, cool. Don't get creepy. Yep. Stick around, be there for her.
Don't be weird.
But don't make weird. And then later she was like, actually, no, you're all right. Let's get married and stuff. Like,
there you go. Just like that.
I mean, no, there was more, but long story short.
Yeah, this is my moment, Drew. Come on.
You have it.
I'm just kidding. But I'm not. Okay. Anyway, no, actually, it's not my moment. We're talking about pens. So where did we get Stealth Purple? How did we get on this? Wow. Sorry, everybody. I'm very out of practice with this kind of thing. So anyway, Pro Gear Slim Stealth Purple. We have a range of nib sizes. Some details of the pen. The price did increase a little bit. That wasn't our choice. That was coming from Sailor. I just feel like I got to say that. Nobody's really complained about it, but I was like,
I think
they happened to do the price increase, and this happened last time.
Sailor
with our Stealth
pricing's
pen.
all over the place. I don't think people have an expectation.
Well, they have like some older pens that like they haven't raised prices on that are much cheaper, that are like the same model, and so it's like, why is this pen so much cheaper? That's just like we're not doing crazy things with the prices. This is how Sailor's doing it. So anyway, that's a thing. But anyway, we have it now, and it's pretty cool. So you should go check it out. It's similar, sort of in color to the Wicked Witch. So I will admit that it's got the black ion trim. That pen, the Wicked Witch, is not the Pro Gear, it's the 1911, the round top. But this one has got the different trim colors. It's like the smoky, kind of a gray-ish.
Yeah.
I forget what it...
Smoke. I would call it
smoke. Translucent. It looks really cool. So we're happy about that. And the purple is distinct enough. We decided to take a picture next to the...
I'll try to include that.
The thing. Okay, yeah. But we've got on the website, we got a picture of that. So anyway, go check that out if you're interested. We also have a new pen from Visconti. So this is a new model actually called the Kaleido, which is cool because they've got a bunch of different models, but they've done some models where you're like, okay, that's interesting. Not quite my jam, but this one, I kind of like this one.
Yeah, it's not a huge departure, and looking at it, it's not super distinctive.
Sure.
It's in that Homo sapiens opera realm.
Yeah.
So it's tried and true. It works.
To me, it kind of is more reminiscent to the Voyager. Remember that Ebonite?
Yeah, the Voyager's right
pen?
there too.
Yeah.
It's like they're all kind of in that same zone.
But round pen, so no like facets or anything crazy like that going on. But the cool thing is these are Brooks resins. So this is the Unicorn Galaxy. It looks really cool. It's translucent. It's got lots of pearlescence happening in there. It just looks really cool. This is a US exclusive. So not exclusive to us, but it's exclusive in the US. So that's pretty rad. There's going to be another color that's going to be coming out.
Fire Opal.
That one got delayed.
Yeah.
They're supposed to launch at the same time. So if you're interested in that one, which is like more of a burnt orange kind of a color, that'll be coming. Very different from the Unicorn Galaxy, but kind of in a similar material.
Yeah, but it's another Brooks resin, and you can find that one on our website. We do have a picture up, so if you wanted to get on the wait list for that or the notification list for that, you can.
Yeah, so go check those out. We also have a new pen that's going to be the spotlight today. This is the Diplomat Nexus. Supposed to be launching, I think, when this video launches on Friday, but there could be something that disrupts that. So anything that hasn't already launched, by the time we shoot this video, I always have to caveat it. Crazy things can happen. But anyway, very interesting pen. So we'll talk about that. It's a new pen from Diplomat, and it has a unique filling mechanism. But it's like a whole thing. There's a whole bottle and a holder and everything. It's kind of neat.
There's a lot going in here.
So yeah, that'd be some good stuff to talk about there. And the last thing I got is the Visconti Mirage Mythos.
This is exciting.
This is exciting because remember when we were first shown this pen, we were like, the Mirage, are they bringing this thing back? Because they had a pen previously.
The Mirage was kind of meh. It was fine.
It was okay, but the main thing that we didn't like about it is it had a kind of a small nib. It was like an undersized nib.
The nib looked too small for its body.
Yeah, but they fixed that.
Big nib.
They
Standard
got a
number
big
6
nib.
nib on here, yeah.
We tested it. Works well. The pen itself, they picked some better colors than what they had before.
The trim is slick.
Yeah.
Real, not like slick, like textured slick, like cool slick.
Like slick, like ill. Not
like
sick.
ill.
Yeah, it's ill. It's got some ill trim.
But I was really impressed with it.
I propose that we just erase our memories, like Men in Black style. Let's just forget the Mirage that was here previously, pretend like that never happened. And we'll just go with this one. Because I
can do that. I can also
this is the one this is the one I wish they'd come out with.
I can also remove the term "ill" as a slang while I'm at it.
Really?
While I'm in there, yeah, might as well.
Okay. That'll be my thing. You can say whatever the word was instead of wow that I forgot already. Excalibur or
Excelsior.
Excelsior. There you go. You use that. I'll use ill. And then
will be so cool.
That'll be more annoying than wow. But anyway, that's all I got. We got 3 colors in the Mirage Mythos, and we should have already launched this by the time you see this video. So go check those out. Lots of new stuff. What about you, Drew?
We got more new stuff. So
let's keep it going.
I will talk about.
Hey-o.
We launched the Retro 51 8-bit inventory pen with some matching sleeve options. We've got a 2 and a single pen.
These pens, these things, these are all Drew's fault. He gets all the blame / credit.
Yeah, these are all me. So it was inspired by old school video games, so retro games from Super Nintendo era, and inspired largely from inventory screens. You know, when you open up your menu and you have to, select your axe or your winged boots or your boomerang or your bomb or your net to catch random fairies and such.
This is my routine every morning when I get up is I go through my inventory.
Go through your inventory, I mean, this is the original
weapons / outdoor gear am I going to need today?
This is the original EDC right here. Your map, your bow, your enchanted necklace, your potion. Got to have potions.
Absolutely.
And then at the top you have a sword. So to chop bushes and things like that.
Very cool.
So I am super excited about it. Hopefully you will find some value there as well, but that is for sale right now. You can get that exclusively here at Goulet Pen Company.
Heck yeah.
Also, the Peniter Avatar UR Twin Tank Touchdown Fountain Pen.
Ooh, nice. Just rolls off the tongue.
That is a vacuum filling avatar pen, and it is the Peniter's first vac filler, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And it is a pretty narrow pen. It comes in an assortment of colors. I believe we're choosing 3, and it's a pretty fun pen.
I think they have 5 colors overall, maybe?
Yeah.
There might be like a white and a yellow that we didn't pick or something. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I think we didn't go with the red and
maybe it's a red.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's a cool pen.
I feel like it was yellow, maybe.
It is like I said, it's about $200, a little bit less, but it has the steel nib, their first vacuum filling fountain pen. It's narrow, but comfortable in my opinion. And most of the vacuum filling pens are really quite thick. Yeah.
Because that's the appeal, is to have a large ink capacity, right?
Yeah. And they usually have a pretty significant step to them as well. This one, it's a magnetic cap, so there is no step to speak of really. So it's a really comfortable writing experience.
That is pretty nice. I actually do kind of dig that.
And the knob that fastens onto the pen when you either can open up the vacuum chamber or seal it off, rather than it screwing on, it is like a little hook latch sort of, they call it a bayonet closure. So it kind of hooks in rather than threading in. So it's a neat design. And if you like Peniter, there's no reason you shouldn't like this. And at $200, it's like kind of in the middle range. It's a good, affordable Peniter. It's like kind of like we just mentioned with the Visconti Mirage. Like that's an affordable Visconti that still feels like a Visconti. This is an affordable Peniter that still feels like a Peniter. So I'm all about this one. Yeah, and in terms of like vacuum filling pens, you don't have a lot of pens to choose from in terms of modern pens. I mean, it was never like the most popular filling mechanism anyway, but you got the TWSBI VAC 700R, the VAC Mini, those are on the more affordable range. You got kind of this one in the mid, you got the VAC or the Pilot Custom 823, and then you've got your other Visconti ones that get up into like the $800s and $1,000 and on up. So it's kind of, I don't know, there's a broad range of pens with this filling mechanism, but this was a little more towards the affordable range, I guess. think it's the only vac filler in the $200 to $300 range.
You got the 823 in there, which is
over 3.
I guess so.
So it's in a new zone.
Yeah, but anyway, go check it out. It's interesting.
Yeah. Also, we mentioned this earlier.
Hey-o.
The arcade carpet design
sneak preview
is a realization. It is a thing. It exists now, so you can talk about it. Thank you for your discretion. We appreciate that.
Yes, we did not get berated by our customer care team.
We didn't, so that means that we can share more intimate secrets with you. So good luck with that. All right, so we're doing it in a Sinclair Model R, which is this, and it is cool. And then we're also doing a 2-pen koozie case as well, so that you can fit it into your Sinclair R. Get excited about that. If you miss the arcade experience of the early 90s, late 80s, then you can enjoy its carpet once again in your life. Honestly, it's
your-
not a bad place to put your 8-bit inventory pen either.
It doesn't like match per se, but it
soul
matches in terms of the era.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're like children of the 90s. And
This is what happens when you give me too much freedom. These things happen.
You know, well, we talked about these. We did not talk about them together. They were two separate projects that came to fruition, and they are beautiful. They were never designed to like be a package deal. No. It just kind of worked out with the timing of it. But no, I got to admit that like I feel like kind of the whole 90s vibe was like nothing really matched. Like I remember a lot of like bright neon with like silver and other like clashing was matching in the 90s. I feel like it's pretty
there was nothing cohesive going on there.
Yeah. Okay.
And then finally we are carrying some new stickers. So that's always fun. Nice, affordable $4 stickers from a new artist this time. We're featuring the art of Mary Nye, whom I met at the San Francisco Pen Show. Her art is absolutely glorious and fun and beautiful. And she does these really cool pieces featuring a rendition of a fountain pen, not exactly a fountain pen that exists, but her own imagining of a fountain pen inspired by others with a really clever framing of sorts. The framing that we have here is a stars and clouds sort of framing and then a cherry blossom sort of background. Both are beautiful and both are printed on a somewhat holographic sticker, and that's the first time we've done anything like that. It's not a flat. Cool. It's not a flat sticker. It's technically a vaporwave finish, is what it's called. So it's slightly holographic, but not so holographic that it takes away from the design. So it will give you some fun shimmer. So definitely encourage you to check those out. They are super cool, and always happy to show off some art from someone in the pen zone.
So we have larger versions of those for sale. I think we're incorporating some smaller versions of those with our packages for free too.
The freebie ones are flat colors. Those are not shimmery, but the ones that you buy will be. So there's
there you go. Their only thing is they're not like split on the back. So to peel them off is a little bit more of a pain. That was the only option we had.
That was the trade-off for
that
getting the cool finish. Yeah.
So sorry about in advance about that, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Very cool. All right, that's all we got for new stuff for right now. There's lots of other stuff. There's lots of coming soon stuff. Be sure to check our website because there's going to be a lot of stuff coming. This is the busiest time of the year in the fountain pen world.
The most wonderful, some say.
It's been said. It's been said right now by Drew. All right, let's get into our Q&A.
All right.
All right, indeed.
First Q&A, Brian.
First one. Let's do it. Am I up first?
No. It says me.
What says you? I'm answering first. That's what I mean.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I'm up to answer.
Yeah, you need to mentally prepare yourself.
That's really the bigger thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh, I'm prepared. Oh, you see the bullets.
Oh, God.
Oh, there are bullets. Oh, yeah. Flip that page.
Yeah, you did stuff.
It's not that bad.
All right. So Brendan is asking you, Brian, actually asking us, do either of you have any terrifying fountain pen or ink horror stories? Any notable disasters that you have heard of that will make our skin crawl and cause us to wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat? Yikes. Why does Brendan wish this upon
I don't know about all that. I made my first note because I was like, I don't really have anything too horrifying. And then as I started to think about it, I was like, oh yeah, there's this one thing I did remember hearing about. Oh yeah, and then that happened. And I have like 10 bullet points. I'm like, that first bullet point is now irrelevant. So so I have normal things like spilling ink all over my countertop. I did that with like my second bottle filling I ever did. Dropping pens at my desk and splattering ink all over my paperwork. That's kind of like standard fare. Sending pens through the washing machine. I've done that. Nothing too dramatic with either of those.
I've never washed a pen.
I have. I did my Fire Blue Quaco Lily.
Oh, that's right.
And it like muted the color pretty hardcore. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think it was the washing machine. I think it was the dryer that did it. It was like in my pocket. It's such a small pen. I just didn't notice that it was still in the pocket. So that's what happened. And then let's see here. I had this is one that was kind of sad. So I had a Conklin Durograph matte black with rose gold trim. I think this was an exclusive that we had. And I believe it was pen number 1. I had it in my pen case. I was taking my pens. It was like I think it was an Aston 10 pen case. So it was like all the pens were.
Are you talking about the Nighthawk, like an old Nighthawk?
No, not a Nighthawk. We had just a regular Durograph matte black.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So this was a couple of years ago. So we were in this building. I was taking a bunch of pens over to be cleaned because we have a pen cleaning station over near our kitchen. And I had the pen case open and I fumbled it, and the pen case like fell like kind of face down on the ground. Everything was in the case, but just something about the way it hit, it caused the cap to just hit in the right spot, and it basically snapped. And like the I forget what part exactly it was that broke, but basically like the threads on the cap or whatever like snapped out of the cap, and the whole thing was
the cap broke.
No, maybe it was the body that broke. I'm trying to remember because the body broke like at the threads.
Yes, those pens, those Duragraphs. If they fall,
if it hits in just the right way,
that's where they break.
That's what happened. So it was like it was in a case and everything, but it was one of those things where like I was carrying several things because when I walk across the building, I'm trying to carry multiple things. I had like a dish or something for my breakfast or whatever, and I was like, let me bring all this stuff over like a goon, and I dropped it and it broke, and I was like, well, that's irreplaceable. Good job, Brian. I mean, at least it's a relatively expensive pen, so I did that. That was horrifying. Let's see here. We've definitely had plenty of like shipments and stuff that we've received. I'm thinking about like things where it's been an entire pallet of ink or like boxes of ink. You get like one bottle that breaks, somebody in transit, it gets dropped on a corner or somebody hits it with a forklift somewhere along the way. And if any of those bottles break, it will leak and just ruin the entire thing.
Oh yeah.
So we've had shipments before where we've gotten ink like that, and it gets mishandled in some way, and like hundreds of bottles, and it getting covered in ink. Only a couple end up breaking, but if it leaks, it ruins everything.
So many ruined.
So we've had that kind of stuff happen here and there. So that's not a me specific thing. Let's see here. I had one when I was learning nib grinding. I don't know if you remember this, Drew, but we were practicing the technique.
I had the same one.
Really?
I did the same thing.
So we were trying to use like one of Richard Bindard's methods is using a X-Acto knife and trying to and he even disclaims in there like this is a risky maneuver, and we were like, well, let's see how risky. And I immediately was like, this was a huge mistake.
I later did the same thing.
Yep. So we tried to put the knife in between the tipping. So just underneath the tipping between the tines is bend the tipping in a little bit. I totally just snapped the weld from the tipping right off. Ruined the nib.
I did the same thing. I wasn't using, I don't think I was using that, but I was using that same technique. I think I used a different piece, but I did it, bent it outwards severely. I think that's what I did too. But then when I bent it back, it snapped. That's when it snapped.
That's exactly what I did.
Dang it! Yep.
Exactly what I did. Mine was a 3776 Chartres Blue. Love that pen. It's beautiful, and I ruined it. And I was like, well, that's $200. Yeah. Good job, Brian.
Yeah, and I think that Platinum has their 3776 models have a tendency to have tight tines.
More so
than some other brands.
And their tines are their nibs, like the gold is thicker on those. So they're a little stiffer.
They also do this weird thing right at the very tip. They go up and up and up, and they kind of go
they tilt in a little bit.
In and up. It's like they have this weird little.
I think that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to increase the flow because mine was on an extra fine because there was not a lot of tipping there to begin with, and I just
Platinum tipping is weird. I blame Platinum.
I don't because we're an authorized retailer and I appreciate all they do for us. No, but I mean, we had all the disclaimers in the world. We knew what we were doing was risky. Yeah. And it was this kind of thing where you do it and you're like, yep, I'm dumb. I just did that. I knew it was a risk and I did it immediately and it just happened quicker than I thought.
Because those were some that we had brought with us because we wanted to bring some ones that were problematic. And we had brought a couple of Platinums.
I think I did mine when we were back here. It was after we had some training, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe I did it there.
No, you did it there.
I did it? Oh.
Yeah. Okay. I remember I was sitting right next to you.
I tried to block it from my memory, but it all flooded back when I got asked this question. Some of the most painful stories I've heard, we've never had this happen, but we've heard it from others. The worst ones are when you hear of other retailers or vendors or collectors or whoever that go to pen shows and they have stuff stolen.
Oh yeah, that's the
at
worst.
The shows. Not only is it bad because usually it's a pretty awful financial burden when that happens, but also it's pen shows are just that's your safe space.
It should be.
It's the place where we bring the community together and you want to be so trusting. And when you hear of that trust being violated by somebody who violates that, it's just it's doubly tragic. So I always hate hearing about that.
And it ruins it for everybody because the more that happens, the less freedom vendors are going to feel comfortable giving the viewing public.
Yeah.
And
it is a shame. So that's a bummer. Try not to get like too down while answering this stuff. So we had one customer one time that, going back to the Platinum 3070-76 Chartres Bleu, they wanted to try to clean their pen. They took it upon themselves. This was not advice from us or whatever. So they soaked the pen in pure acetone, which if you're familiar with, I'm not sure exactly what resin that pen's made of, but most pens are made of acrylic acetate. And if you know anything about an acetate, acetone is the thing that melts acetate. Like literally it is the solvent that melts it.
Yeah, acrylic acetate is going to be what nail polish is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So acetone is nail polish remover, basically. So imagine if you had a pen made of nail polish and you put nail polish remover in it.
It's going to remove your pen.
Literally, it melted, it liquefied the entire pen. So they were left with like a blue puddle with like the nib and the trim ring and the converter metal parts. It was like the pen just like vaporized. It was like, wow, that sucks.
I wonder if an 823 would do that.
Probably, yeah, I would imagine.
Because I have one that's like all cracked up and
acetone
useless.
Is like the worst material for most fountain pens because most of them are going to be some kind of like acetate base. Yeah. So yeah, that will melt most fountain pens. So it's kind of cool to see it happen if you want to completely ruin a pen. But yeah, it's not going to come back. We had one customer that soaked a TWSBI Classic in denatured alcohol.
Is that the one that turned white and crusty?
Yeah.
I remember seeing that.
So it didn't melt, it didn't liquefy the pen. I don't know what scientific term happened to this thing, but it basically like, it certainly broke the resin down. It was a black classic pen.
It looked like it
that.
took its soul.
Yeah.
Like and it just left like a decomposed, mummified
It was like
corpse.
all like cracked and kind of like puffed out. It clearly like did not do a lot good for this pen.
It took its entire life force away.
Yeah. In general, don't soak any pens in things.
Chemicals.
Unless you're 100% certain we should. And then we've heard from numerous customers with like pen-related disasters. I can't recall some specific ones, but lots of ones that are pet-related. Sorry, not pen-related. I mistyped in my notes. Pet-related disasters. So either animals getting a hold of like the funny ones that are not so scary, like when they get a hold of like the packing material and the pets like tear them apart and make a huge mess.
Red ink messes are always funny because it looks like it
looks
something.
Like blood. Yeah. But yeah, there's definitely been a number of customers over the years that have sent us ones where like the pet will get a hold of a pen and either like chew it up or like kind of shake it and get ink all over the place. Or if a pet gets into like a bottle of ink and then there's like paw prints and stuff all over the house. I mean, we've seen some pictures of some stuff where, I mean, it looks like a crime scene because there's just stuff splattered all over the place and it's like in the carpet and everything. And it's like, yikes. So you've heard of those types of incidents happening. But yeah, lots of interesting things. But I mean, that's the most dramatic stuff I've heard about.
Have you heard anybody who dropped one of those Lamy 2000 rings down the sink?
I have done that before myself and retrieved it, but I've never like lost one for good.
There have been people that lost them. They reach out to us asking if they can get a replacement. We have to send them to Lamy.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah, that's upsetting.
That is upsetting.
I remember I've told you before, I had a Pelican that had a Bender customized flex nib on it. And it was so good. It was like an ultra extra fine with flex.
I remember this one.
And I was walking in our old building.
I saw this happen.
The pen cleaning area was in the warehouse. So warehouse had that, poured concrete floor.
Yeah.
And I had two things in my hand and I used the hand I had the pen in to open the door and it slipped out as I was opening the door. No joke, like 4 inches into the concrete zone versus the carpet zone. Not like it would have made a huge difference, but the difference was if it hit the carpet, the nib might not have just snapped in half.
It might have just bent.
And yeah, it might have just have bent, which could be repaired. But the way it happened, no, one tine snapped right off. Not just at the tipping, like at the gold.
Yeah. On like a customized one of a one of a kind.
So that one was gone. That very painful. Much made me sad. And then before we figured out that taking apart the 2000 was irreparably damaging it, I did take apart my 2000 a few times.
Like the piston end of it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I mean, I've seen videos where people do that and they're like clicking the piston and I'm like, ugh.
And as long as
can't be good for it.
If you do it a couple times, it's fine. But we saw like it really grinds off those notches on the piston. So
not made to be
I
done
stopped
that way.
doing that. So it's not ruined because I stopped doing it. So
Okay.
I
So
stopped.
it still functions? It still
Yeah,
functions?
functions just fine. So I did it a couple times, but quickly realized that
playing with fire.
Needed to stop that before it got worse.
Oof. Wow.
That's it for that.
Okay. I had Rachel had lost a pen for like 3 years, I think. It was like I think it was a Schaefer 100 or a Schaefer Prelude or something like that. She lost it and it was inked up with some kind of magenta ink. And she lost it and I found it. And I'd never seen a pen so like crusty and stuff like that as that one. But I was able to clean it out and it got functional again. So that was a disaster, but then it turned out okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Recouping.
That's right. I've like thrown pens across the parking lot. Remember we picked up Karis Customs?
Yep.
And I was like, these are such sturdy pens. I was like, I wonder if I could run over this with my car. And then
you
truck it
threw
across
the
parking
Karis
lot.
Customs and you ran over the Peniter.
I did both. I
did both?
ran over the Karis
Okay.
Customs first, yep. And then I threw it across the parking lot. And then I was like, I didn't get the shot that I wanted. So then I threw it across the parking lot again.
Of course.
And then that was the shot that we used. So yeah, I have a very banged up Karis Customs from back in the day.
Let us know if you have any ideas on like stress testing pens that you'd like us to do. We're a little curious about that.
Oh, remember we filled the TWSBI Eco with glow stick goo?
Oh, we did.
Remember that?
It melted it.
That got pretty melty.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was fun. Kind of like the acetone type thing. I don't know what's in those glow sticks, but probably shouldn't be touching it.
Nope.
It's a reason they're inside tubes.
Yes.
Anyway, cool. Tell us your horror stories in the comments because I don't know. That's fun, I guess. I don't know.
It's good to talk about our tragedies.
Yeah, it's like group therapy here. Anyway, all right. Next question I got is from Amaryllis L. Happy Fountain Pen Day. You're welcome. Or thank you. Whatever.
You too.
As well.
You also have a good dinner.
I have a question. What are your favorite funky or funny, interesting ink names?
See, I got really excited about this because I immediately knew of a bunch. And then you were like, I don't know. I don't have any funky names.
Well, I was like, are these like ink names of the brands we carry or ink names that like we would make up? Like if we had to make them up. I just didn't know which route to go.
Both.
Okay.
I did both. I say a lot of stupid things, so it had no.
I knew that you would know more what's happening with this question, and then I would be able to recall things as you talked.
The first thing that popped into my head was just how we kind of purposefully butcher regional names, like French and Japanese.
Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not.
Sometimes I know that I can't do it right, so I just try to do it silly, like Carub de Chypre. That's a good one.
That's a good one to say with a southern accent,
which would be like Carub de Chypre, I guess.
Yes, something like that.
Chypre. It's that end is just barely there. Like Chypre. I don't know. I can't do it. You just have to barely just boop it in right there at the end, but not like Ray.
Chypre. Yeah.
Yeah, Chypre. That really
that.
quick. Yeah. So I'm just like, all right, Carub de Chypre. Or like Hiroshizuku Murasaki Shikabu.
Yes, that's a good one.
That's right.
Diamond Matator.
Yeah, Diamond Matator, Matador, and Murasaki Shikabu.
That's your sheriff of Nottingham.
Hiroshizuku Murasaki Shikabu. My God.
I love that.
Diamond Matator. Wow. And then, of course, Diamond Chocolate Brown. I always think of that viral video where I'm like, chocolate brown.
Oh, of course. Of course.
So, that's just stupid. And then, for some reason, Ferris Wheel Press Peter Moss. I just think of a person named Peter Moss.
Peter Moss? Yeah.
And he's a detective.
Oh, there's like a whole backstory here.
Yeah.
Peter Moss, detective.
I think that there's like a policeman in Peaky Blinders, the TV show, named Detective Moss or something or Captain Moss. I don't know. That's so that kind of, I don't know. So now I think of Peter Moss. I'm like, that's a person. He's a gumshoe.
Okay.
He's a problem solver.
Okay.
If you're down on your luck and you can afford it, Peter Moss is your man.
All right.
And then Australis Hydra from Robert Auster. Obviously, we know of the Hydra of mythology.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but picture a very, very Australian Hydra with I know Crocodile Dundee is absolutely a terrible.
You're going
terrible
full tilt stereotypical
or
Australian.
like
a Foster's beer can in one
like
hand.
a three-headed Steve Irwin, and if you cut off one of his head, another one pops up. And he's with that nice blonde mullety thing.
Please don't be offended if you're from Australia. Y'all are good sports. I think
they're amazing people. But yeah, I think of like an unstoppable Steve Irwin Hydra.
Okay.
That cut off one head, two more grow in its place.
There's probably actual hydras in Australia because the animals and the insects that are down there
they probably
terrifying.
Crush one every day before they turn off their alarm clock.
Wow. All right.
So yeah, as far as stupid ink names that you can just kind of run wild with, I have no shortage of those. And we've talked about how Scabiosa and Salix from
Scabiosa.
They don't sounds
pleasant. Like a bad medical condition.
Yeah, Salix too. Like it's not.
Got a bad case of Scabiosa.
Yeah, like. Yeah,
Salix. I guess
I've got like a Salix B. Like, oh, that's not good. Like, my aunt had Salix B. That's right. That's not good. And then more Ferris wheel press. Blushing mushroom. I just insisted that everybody in the office call it blush room.
Blush room, yeah.
And then they later came out with a color called the Velvet Ballet. But in my opinion, it should either be the Velvet Ballet or the Velvet Ballet. Like let's not screw around. All right, let's stick with one, a hard T or a.
I think Velvet Ballet.
The Velvet Ballet.
I'm a little partial to the Goulet name here.
I think so.
Velvet Ballet.
I think so. So those are the ones that I came up with.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I like stupefying things.
That's good. There's probably, if I put like a lot more thought into it, I'd probably think of more, but a couple that did come to mind. This goes way back to before you were even here, Drew. Back when we just carried.
Are you singing Amberdy Amberdy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jerbon. Yeah, exactly. Amber de Bermani. So it's like a golden yellow kind of a color. But yeah, Rachel's sister would call it Amberdy Amberdy. And it's just so funny. Another good one is basically anything Bordeaux. We always just want to say it with like a big
Bordeaux.
Bordeaux. Like,
Bordeaux.
I think of like the big fat guy, the big fat like uncle or whatever from Sword and Stone.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever that guy's name is. The big mustache.
Yes.
Bordeaux. So pretty much like anytime that comes up in a company meeting, like when we're talking like new products and all that, if there's a color that's Bordeaux, we're just like Bordeaux.
Yes.
And so that's kind of funny.
Do you remember the first employee we ever had at the Goulet Pen Company pronounced Gerbon Lidete as lie to the. So that pops.
It makes sense.
I can't see that.
Yeah.
That name without thinking of
lie to the. Or the rusty anchor, Rui Dunk.
Ruli Danker?
Yeah, D apostrophe A, what is it? I can't spell visually. A-N-C-R-E or whatever it is. Yeah, but everybody mispronounces
or button door.
Yeah, button door.
Yeah.
Amberdy. That one takes the cake for me.
Yep.
That's a good one. So yeah, let us know what other ones you guys think are fun. All right.
Here we go. Question number 3. This one comes to us from John. And John asks a very good question. In sheer volume of individual sales, what are your top selling pens? Does this list change from year to year, or is it fairly consistent? Best selling pens, Brian?
Yep. So I think there's a couple different ways you can approach this.
Yeah.
It seems like it should be a pretty easy question to answer, but it's a little more complicated.
Yeah, because he does say individual sales, so that helps.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going strictly by like volume of pens here, because you can certainly look at it in terms of revenue. It's one way, because like when you're comparing Namikis and Viscontis and stuff, that's very different than Platinum Preppies and Pilot Varsities and Gin House Shark pens. And
he did. Yeah, he mentioned volume.
So I'm thinking like number of units, so to speak.
He gave us some good qualifiers. So
and I appreciate that. The thing that complicates it a little bit, so we got the whole volume of pens thing, so that's good. That's a good qualifying thing. If you're looking for volume of pens, it's actually easy to see kind of at a glance. If you look at our website, go to shop all fountain pens. I think it even defaults to best selling as the sort function. That is current. We have that programmed, so it actually is showing you the things that are selling the best. We're not like programming things in there that we're just trying to push or whatever.
Yeah.
It literally is the stuff that people are buying the most. Now,
the logic is a little iffy on that one, because sometimes I've sorted like ink by best selling. I'm like, wait a second, this is not like. So
it gets a little complicated because, the thing that gets complicated with pens, and this is where I'll explain it a little bit more. So the best-selling thing, it auto-populates based on what's sold. I don't remember the time period that it's pulling from, and then it doesn't account for things that are out of stock, new releases versus things that have been around for a while, that kind of stuff. So it's really kind of somewhat of a snapshot. Anything that's out of stock is not even going to have the option to be at the top, that always defaults down below everything that's in stock. So that's where it truly will not be accurate. If we're out of stock of a certain pen, it's going to be at the bottom. Yeah. And then we have other things that get more complicated because you'll have some pens where it's like there's really just one color of pen, like the Lamy 2000, for example. Your options are limited, so that individual pen will always be near the top, even for volume, as it's a slightly more expensive pen. Whereas a pen like the Platinum Preppy, there's a bunch of different colors. Do you roll all those up?
Custom 74.
And consider,
Vanishing Point.
Have a Vanishing Point. There's so many more colors.
But yet the 823 with its just 2.
Right. So there's no one answer to give. You have to get a little more granular depending on what you're going for. And I don't know exactly what you're asking. And it's not that important. Rather than going like super detailed and then telling you it depends and not giving you a real answer, I was like, let's simplify it a little bit and just go with some more generalities.
Look at that.
So I'm learning
Personal growth
and growing. But basically it's a lot of kind of what you expect, like pens that get talked about a lot, that everybody kind of seems to enjoy, ones that are less expensive, models that have a lot of color variations and options to them because they might be more collectible or they have a lot of special editions, limited edition things that keep things interesting and make them popular. It's usually not the craziest stuff. It's one that you're probably not going to be like as drastically surprised. So calculating this in great detail takes more work than you think because we do have to factor in like the various colors, nib sizes, all that kind of stuff. So even if we were to, like when we do our own analysis and we come up with stuff for our own kind of benefit, we do it, we can look at a snapshot and see, individual SKU, which is like a certain pen, certain color, certain nib size. That might be one SKU. But if you roll up all the nib sizes, which for something like Sailor might be 7 different nibs in one color of pen. And then if you roll up like a Pro Gear Slim of 7 different nibs of every single color, you got to roll all that up. You might be talking like 50 different SKUs. And then in what time frame and so on and so forth. So it kind of depends on how you want to slice up the information. But you all don't care about all those details. So I'm just explaining to you why it's a little more complicated. But I would say the top pens are generally consistent from year to year as a group, but the order of them might change within itself based on new releases, stock issues, pricing changes, and so on that may, fluctuate the demand. But in general, you'll see a lot of similar models that kind of float towards the top. And that's where I'm kind of pulling from here. Excuse me. So I'm not going like, so I got like a little bit of a thing. I'm still getting over a little something last week, but I'm fine.
Got too much Bordeaux.
Too much Bordeaux, yeah. Indeed. No Bordeaux. This is coffee in here. You like my little snow bear mug there? It's getting towards winter time.
That's right. It's time for Snow Bear mug.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm wearing my pre-winter sweater. This is like,
yeah, you're like flirting with a holiday sweater. Is this a holiday sweater?
I don't know.
You could argue.
This looks like a snowflake. It's just like, but it's a very large abstract snowflake.
I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing what I want to see. Maybe it's like a Rorschach snowflake. But
no, I'd say they're definitely snowflakes.
Yeah, I think it might actually be the perfect sweater for right now because we talked before this Pencast tangent, but I was like, Drew, should we wear some sweaters? Because Rachel got me a new sweater that is awesome and I can't wait to wear it. But some people feel very firmly about waiting till after Thanksgiving before wearing like Christmas themed stuff or like the more intentional holiday.
Christmas decorations are going up this weekend for me.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Pre-Thanksgiving?
Yep.
Okay.
Did it last year too.
Okay. Wow.
This is the thing.
See, I can see that because
I'll get started anyway. I might not do it all.
Yeah.
Do half now, half Thanksgiving weekend probably.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
We got to do double Santa Jaws sweaters too.
Oh, that'll definitely happen.
All right.
Do you want to kick that off? Maybe we should do that. We don't have to talk about this on camera.
I'll be surprised.
I don't know. Let us know what you all think because we'll get to, yeah. We'll just double up. Well, I'll wear both just to be sure. Not kidding.
Oh God, you'd be so hot.
I would be I'm going to be hot anyway. Sweater time is not a good time for Brian. Anyway, so back to the question. Bringing it back from the tangent. So I would say that the pens that kind of generally float to the top of the list volume-wise are going to be pens in like the sub $50 range. Maybe not a huge shock because those are ones that more people can afford of and they can buy multiples of them, right? So I kind of broke it into like the steel nib ones and then I have some of the gold nib ones that were floating nearer the top on our site. The pens that, and this is not in like a specific order, I'm just speaking about the ones that tend to be towards the top. Probably not shocker. Pilot Metropolitan, always up there. Platinum Preppy, actually. There's a lot of different versions of that. But,
Love the Preppy.
Preppy's solid. Twisby Eco.
Definitely.
Nulu's Ahab actually floated up there quite a bit. Now there's like a billion colors.
Yeah.
So no one pen, like the clear I think is the most popular, but when you roll them all up, surprisingly popular pen.
We have fewer colors than we used to, though.
That's true.
Like,
That's true.
Far fewer.
I mean, they used to have Nathan had like 60 colors or something like that at one point.
We've really cut back on those, but
yeah.
It's surprising that they're still going strong.
Still up there. Still up there. Yeah, it was like towards it was like second or third line on the page.
Wow.
Lamy Safari, not a shocker. That one is one where like the special edition will totally skew.
Yeah.
Like the special edition is usually the number one pen of any given year, depending on what time frame you're pulling. Twisby 580 also up there. A lot of variants of that. I guess I'd roll the like AL and the ALR kind of into that as well.
Some of those are over 50, aren't they?
They can get there,
Yeah.
The basic 580 is right at 50, but the different variants can get above that.
Yeah. I even think that the isn't just the stub nib over 50?
It is, yeah.
Just
The stub
barely
nib,
puts
it's
it
like
over.
55
Yeah.
or something, yeah. Diplomat Magnum as well.
Oh, there you
nice
go.
little
All right,
$20
Magnum.
pen. Yeah. Conklin Durograph, lot of different variations of that one. So that's one that can really swing wildly depending on which versions they've come out with. And Pilot Varsity too. Now that one, it's like you have individual colors, you have the like 7-pack and all that. So if you roll them all up together, there's quite a few varsities as well.
I'm a little sour at this, Brian.
Why? What? Okay, you want? What do you want on here that's not on here, Drew? Your Twisby Swipe? You want Swipe to be on here?
I do.
Swipe was not that high up on the list.
Dang it! Come on, people.
But it's not. I don't know. I don't know what.
All right.
I don't know what time frame it's pulling from.
What other
site.
pen do you think I want on here?
I don't know.
Pilot Explorer.
Explorer. Yeah, that pen should be more popular.
It should be.
The Kakuno too. That should be more popular.
Absolutely,
as well.
100%. Come on.
Parallel was kind of up there. There were some that started to get up there a little bit more. The Explorer wasn't really that close on the list.
I get the Ahab because it's a unique writing experience.
It's because of the flex nib, yeah.
But Kakuno is like
a solid little pen.
Like if the Preppy is good bang for your buck, then the Kakuno is just as much bang for your buck.
Yeah.
God, man.
I don't know what to tell you, man. All
right.
There were some other pens that like I don't know where they fall volume wise compared to these other ones because it's so hard to compare. But if we wanted to jump up to some gold nibs, just to give you some variety here, ones that are near the top, Lamy 2000, obviously pretty up there. Pilot VP, there's a billion colors of that we've had. Pilot Falcon, pretty solid as well. E95S, that one comes and goes a lot with stock. And then Pilot Custom 823 is very solid performer as well.
Why don't we have a Falcon cry that happens every time we say that pen?
Good question. When we did the Monteverde Nighthawk way back in the day, right. I got like a stock like girl.
I want that every time
in that video, but I haven't done that in the Falcon ones. Yeah.
Every time I say Falcon,
if you Google like what a Falcon actually sounds like, it's not like what you think of from the movies. It's not like you typically what you have like is a hawk, like that type of a
I've heard
Falcon
that.
is more like I don't even know the sound that it makes, but Google it. You're like, oh, that's not.
I think
distinct.
The same is true about lions.
Yeah.
I think lions are just like rah, or something like that.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park,
it doesn't
right?
sound like the MGM intro.
Oh yeah. Wait, something from like the movies is not real? Yeah.
But that's like the lion sound everybody thinks of.
Yeah,
is that
true.
MGM lion.
I did hear that when they did the original Jurassic Park and they were coming up with the Tyrannosaurus roar, it's got a very distinct, like terrifying roar. And of course nobody actually knows what a T-Rex sounds like. One of the things that they used when they did it, it was very high pitched and it was like they needed something low to like give it kind of a rumble. And I heard that a lion's roar was like the thing that gave it the low rumble.
Yeah, they do have a solid roar.
Yeah.
But it's just not the one in the movies. I think they use like a tiger or something like that for that. I don't know.
Oh, that could be it. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, neither do I. But anyway, all right. That's all I got for that one.
All right.
You got anything to add?
No. That's
cool.
That's it.
All right. Well, I know y'all have probably seen enough of Drew, so I thought we're going to give you a break and let him sit this next question out. And we're going to go grab Adrianne, our customer care manager, and her and I are going to talk about our bottom shelf process. So hang tight, and we'll be right back with no Drew. All right. Well, now that we got Drew out of here.
Yeah. Good riddance.
Adrianne worked very closely with Drew for quite some time, so she is no stranger to Drew's charm.
Yes, Drew and I can have conversations almost as long as the conversations you guys have.
That is scary.
And the three of us in a room, we would just never leave.
That's very true. We have to watch the clock because we'll be like, oh, it's dark outside now. Okay, we should probably leave. We have families. Okay. So, Adrianne, we got a question for you, and I thought you'd be a great one to bring in to help us answer this. So this is from Joseph NL7 or N capital I7. I can't really tell which. Could you please explain the bottom shelf? Where do these used pens come from? And since you do not accept returns of these products, what is the guarantee that you provide?
Excellent question. So our bottom shelf is really, really cool because it is pens that for some reason didn't meet what the customer wanted. Usually we see things like they were unsure of a nib size, so maybe they ordered a fine, but they'd really prefer an extra fine. It's almost always preferential in nature. They didn't like the color. They didn't like how heavy it was. So while the pens have been purchased by somebody else first and used, they are still in really great condition. They, when they come back to us, generally via a return, there's sometimes, something from photography or...
Yeah, it could be something like we notice a small defect on it.
Yeah,
We're honestly pretty picky.
Yeah, we're picky about stuff that goes on the bottom shelf.
Correct me if I'm wrong. We sometimes get customers that they're like, I bought this on the bottom shelf. Like, what's wrong with it? I can't see what's wrong. And we're like, well, it's got this little scuff right here.
It's got, the tiniest
this little scratch under the clip. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We are kind of picky.
We're picky. But in a good way.
Yeah.
Because we not only are we picky with what goes on the bottom shelf, before we put any pens on the bottom shelf, we do test them for function. Because we do know that with it being something you can't easily return to us, we want to make sure that we're giving the best possible outcome there. There are times when occasionally our testing isn't going to show something. It could be something ever so slight, like a slight rotation on the nib means it doesn't write as well or something. So if there is a defect that we just didn't catch, we will absolutely work with you and get it back and do whatever we need to do to make it right.
Yeah.
Which is make it right, but make it right for you.
Nice.
Yes,
Nicely done.
I do love the puns.
Yes.
But if it's something where you are also it's not meeting what you want, you're like, oh, I love fine pens, but still it's a brand that doesn't have the nib that you want or something, we might be able to offer some tips to try, maybe some little troubleshooting. Try a different ink, try a different paper. We don't have any guarantees on it because so much about pens are personal. I mean, even with our brand new pens, we don't guarantee that you're going to love it. We guarantee that we're going to work with you and give you the best information we can.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like some of these things might fall slightly outside of warranty type of a situation.
Yeah.
Like basically we don't feel good selling a pen as new if a customer has ever used it.
Yeah, that's just not fair.
If we've used it and tested it very intentionally, that's one thing. And even then, that's pretty rare that we would even do that.
Yeah.
We, are more in a situation where it's going out to a customer, it comes back, the pen operates perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's just not new.
We just can't sell it new. Yeah, and we will, if there's something actually wrong with the pen, whatever, the clip snapped off, or
we wouldn't even put that on.
Or the packaging it gets returned and there's no box or something like
Perfect
that.
Example.
Pen's fine, but no box. That would be
shelf.
a good example. Yeah. So there might not even be anything wrong, really.
Yeah. Something super simple, super easy. But we do test every pen that goes on the bottom shelf to make sure it's going to perform as it ought to perform.
Yeah. And then there are some things that never actually make it out to a customer. Like we might get stuff that gets damaged in transit to us.
Yes. Notebooks. A lot of times we'll see notebooks on the bottom shelf or, one tiny corner is crunched, or ink bottles where maybe a bottle broke in transit, but it stained some others.
Just talked about that earlier.
Oh, yeah.
We'll try to use those for samples if we can, because the ink is still good.
Yeah.
But if the outer box is ruined, but the bottle's perfectly fine.
We can do that.
Yeah. It's usually weird. It's all weird stuff, weird scenarios.
And we will always put in the description for the bottom shelf what is going on with it. So you can, it'll say something like, this pen has been gently used but does not come with a box. Or this pen has been gently used but does not have a converter. So that's part of the reason the discount is there, because you might have to supply your own converter.
Yeah.
And you can always reach out to the customer care team plug for info@gouletpens.com.
There you go.
And ask about a specific product because we've all seen them and we'll be able to tell you more information on it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So there
Pretty
you go.
fun.
Yeah. So it's a good benefit. I mean, we've been doing that. Oh gosh, I think Rachel and I started doing that not long, like a few months after we started the business.
And it was an actual bottom shelf in your garage.
I mean, that was kind of like I guess the original name kind of came from like when you're at like the whatever ABC store or the liquor store, like the stuff that's like usually worse. Or if you're at like, I don't know, most retail stores, you might have like a clearance section or what are the other words they use for like stuff that's damaged, like shelf worn type stuff.
Yeah.
Open box special type things.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, display items, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll take the cost off, like we'll discount it accordingly based on how bad we think it is. But most of the stuff honestly is really in pretty good shape.
It's really
so it's
good.
usually not anything crazy, but you can always reach out with questions and we'll try to provide you the best service we can pretty much no matter what you're buying.
We'll do our best.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Adrianne.
Sure. Thanks,
It's been
Brian.
a delight.
It was great to see you.
You too. I guess bring Drew back in here and
Okay.
oh, well, that's what we got. Thank you. Welcome back, Drew.
That was great.
Good
Thank
to have you here.
Yes, I just went and did some hand modeling for the photo department.
There you go.
Yeah, I got to hand model this pen actually.
The Diplomat Nexus.
Yeah, we took some pictures with it doing some drippy drip action.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about more.
Ben was telling me that you got ink all over the place after he said, wow, Drew, you didn't get ink all over anything. And then you just like... Pfft.
That's not correct. It was me that said, wow, I didn't get ink all over everything. And then I proceeded to get ink everywhere.
Jinxed yourself.
Yes. So don't believe everything you hear, Brian.
Well, he was saying it from outside the room, and I heard what I wanted to hear.
Okay, dang it. All right. Anyway, last question of the week is, well, you know what? I'm not going to answer this, and neither are you.
No.
We're going to save this question.
We have a more qualified
A
person.
very much more qualified person by the name of Ian Schon.
Heyo.
Who owns Schon Design, who is making pens, and for the first time ever, we're able to sell them, and that's really exciting.
Sweet.
So we have some currently available. You can check those out. I'll have a link here and in the description. But to celebrate this exciting collaboration, we're going to have Ian give his thoughts on this question.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm just going to turn it right on over to Ian. So...
Hey Goulet Pencast, it's me, Ian Schon of the Schon Design Pen Company, coming at you from Philadelphia, from my manufacturing facility. As you can see behind me, there's a ton of machinery, a lot of tools, barrels, material, pens, there's all kinds of stuff in here. This is where we manufacture, make, assemble, check, test, design, engineer all of our fountain pens. Every single one of our fountain pens is manufactured here in this very space in Philadelphia from raw material. Pretty exciting stuff. So thank you to Drew and Brian for inviting me on the Pencast this week. We have a question that I'm going to read from a reader, and we're going to talk a little bit about fountain pen reliability. Okay. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our pen collab, because I don't know if you saw, but we have a pen together, the Goulet Schon full-size edition fountain pen, and we have a Pocket 6 on the site. So let's talk about both of those. Let's talk about pen reliability. Let's dive in. So the Q&A portion, okay, let's see, Q&A, we have a question from Jameson. Hey Jameson, how you doing today? Hope you're having a great day. All right, cool. I was curious what you consider to be the most reliable pen. Oh, fantastic question. Not so much in terms of lifespan, but in its ability to recover from storage without cleaning and always puts down ink when you need it to. Nice. We're talking about a pen that probably doesn't dry out. Nice. Let's keep going. I do a lot of projects and drawings and often find myself switching to a ballpoint midway through the process to make it quicker. Okay. Fair. I'd really like a pen that's going to give me the best reliability for keeping at my work desk. I have a TWSBI Eco T that's very good at not drying out, but the nib doesn't fit very well against the feed, and once there's a gap, I have to reposition it. Yikes. Every other pen I own, VP, Neponset, I hope I pronounced that right, Safari, a few other cheapies, can't even get close on the reliability front. Fascinating. Okay, crazy. So, first off, I'm all about reliability and functionality. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, and when I wanted to make a fountain pen in this space, that was like one of the top tier reasons to make a pocket fountain pen. For me, it had to be like leak-proof, durable. But enough about me. Let's talk about the pieces of a fountain pen that make the fountain pen reliable. So first off, we have to have a way to hold ink. So let's look at a couple different pens on the Goulet website. I took a browse before this. We have the Esterbrook Esty and the Edison Collier. And then we have the full-size Schon design fountain pen. So these three pens, in my mind, have a similar value proposition, right? They are made from really cool materials and have great finishes, but they also, all three of them, use a JoWo No. 6 nib and a Schmidt K5 converter. So let's talk about the converter first. The converter is the way that we hold the ink in the pen and the way that we fill the pen, but you already knew that. The Schmidt K5 converter can be replaced easily. You can, if it gets damaged or if there's an issue and there's whatever, if you have a problem with it, you can take it out and replace it for under $10, right? It's a replaceable part of the fountain pen. That's really nice because the way that you manage ink is also the way that you make sure that there's no air entering through the back of the pen, which is really important if you don't want your pen to leak out everywhere. So ink management, those three pens, equal. Schmidt K5, repairable, replaceable. Excellent. The next thing we're going to talk about is the nib of these three pens. So those three pens all use a JoWo No. 6 fountain pen nib, and they're all steel nibs. So the reason I bring this up is because I actually have found that the feeds on the JoWo pens are really awesome. They're easy to clean, unless you use a bunch of shimmer ink or some like crazy pigmented ink, but for the most part, they're easy to clean. They work really well. And I don't know, they're just really consistent. And another thing about these three pens is, let's say you go to a pen show and you have one ground and tuned specifically to your specifications and you love this nib in your Esterbrook or in your Edison or in your Schon design. You could actually unscrew that nib unit if it's again, confirm if it's outside of those three pens, confirm that it's a No. 6 JoWo nib before doing so, consult your manufacturer. But you can unscrew those nibs and actually swap them between the pens. So if you find a nib that you really like and it's of the JoWo No. 6 size and threading, not a Bach No. 6 because those don't thread the same as the JoWo. But if you really like that nib, you can swap them between the pens and you can kind of like switch your bodies but have the nib be the same. So that's really nice, and for me that's really important. So I decided to use a JoWo No. 6, kind of following the footsteps of other makers from the fountain pen community, fountain pen scene, for this very reason. The other thing you could look at, and there's always pros and cons here, but the other thing you could look at is, as a part of the Schon design series, we have a little O-ring inside of our cap. And I'm gonna hold up an Ultem pen just to kind of show you the O-ring. So this O-ring here is also present inside of the full-size Schon design fountain pen and the Pocket 6. And that O-ring, when it seals the cap, keeps the nib very wet. And I have several pens that I've had in my personal collection for several years that have been inked and not cleaned for that entire time and have not dried out once. Again, there's pros and cons to this, and I won't get into it too much, but having a tightly fitting cap is really great for keeping a fountain pen from drying out, because if the cap fits without an O-ring, or it's a little bit of a looser fit, or there's an air gap, that pen is going to the ink is going to be constantly desaturating over time and saturating over time, getting thicker, and the water content is going to be dissolving out. So got to be careful about that. So for me, I love a pen that seals closely for that reason. Building on that, when I started making pens about 12 years ago, I designed my first pen around a Fisher Space Pen ink cartridge because it's the most reliable ink cartridge for a ballpoint. However, it is one of the most controversial, polarizing ink cartridges when it comes to ballpoints because it writes kind of gummy and gunky, and a lot of folks don't like that. So for me, reliability was high up on the traits that I was designing towards when I was manufacturing my first pens. So great question, Jameson, near and dear to my heart. I hope that answers your question. Thanks to Goulet for having me on this Pencast. Definitely check out our limited edition full-size fountain pen that we're doing with Goulet, and the Pocket 6 that we did with Goulet. Really exciting opportunity. Really happy to have made those pens for them. With those pens, if you have an Edison Collier and you have an Esterbrook SD, you could literally unscrew those nibs and swap them out between the pens to mix and match a little bit, which would be kind of cool. I think the SD comes with a gold toned Yovo number 6 in steel. You could swap that and put that gold one in your Edison, or you could put it in your Schon design. You could swap them around. Pretty fun. So for me, I love interchangeability. I love like robust engineering systems, so that's like really great for me. Anyways, thanks again for having me on the Pencast. If anyone has any follow-on questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram at Schon_DSGN, or check out our website, and definitely check out the Goulet pen collab. Those are live on Goulet's site right now for a limited time. We did 2 colors with them. I'm not going to talk about them. I'll let you just have a look. All right, have a look. Peace. Oh, and before I go, Drew, you asked me about reliability and how we check reliability of our pens inside of the Schon Design Studio. Well, let's actually have a look at how we assemble and check our nibs right now together. Okay. First things first, we'll do an inspection of the nibs under a microscope to make sure that the tines are aligned with each other and that the slit is consistent or within range for that specific nib size. These 3 Yovo mediums, you can see there's a little inconsistency between them, but you know, that's why we check and that's why we have a look and we can make any adjustments before we want to assemble the nibs. And then over here, we actually have our custom built Schon Design manufacturing facility exclusive nib assembly jig. So we're gonna go ahead and operate this bad boy together. We're gonna do some nib assembly. All right, so the first step in the assembly process is to take our feed, our housing, and our nib and assemble them roughly together without pressing them together so that we have the nib a specific distance from the feed and then the feed pressing the housing in the correct orientation. This is like our pre-work. And what we'll do is we'll set up a couple nibs so that they're at this stage ready for their final press. Then let's go ahead and look at our circuit here. So we have one circuit that controls the pressing function, and we have a regulator up here that controls the amount of force that this ram pushes. Though it's very fast, it's actually not exerting a lot of force. So the force is controlled by the regulator for this unit, and then for this bit over here, we have what's called a pneumatic gripper. And this is what grips the front of the nib. So let's go ahead and assemble this together. First step, we'll take the nib and we'll assemble it, or we'll place it carefully in the gripper. All right, once it's in the pneumatic gripper, we'll go ahead and run the ram. We'll wait a couple seconds for the pressure to reach its max potential. We'll back it off, and then we'll do a final check to make sure that all the pressing went well, and we'll ensure that everything is in good shape and ready to be sent out to a customer. Let's do that one more time, just so you have another shot at this assembly process. We'll take the nib, we'll grip it in the gripper, we'll press it in the ram, and we'll have a look at it. Beautiful. Now what we're looking for with the Yovo nibs, and again, this is every different brand is gonna do this differently, but we like a small gap between the nib and the feed here. So this distance here is very important for us. And then this distance from the feed back to the housing is also very, very crucial for us. So yeah, that's our nib assembly process. It's another way we manage quality in our studio.
Alrighty. That was delightful. I love seeing his shop. He's got such a great operation going there.
So cool.
And he's been doing this for a long time too.
Like, he's very legit.
He's a you know, it seems like he's a one-man thing, but he's been in manufacturing for quite some time. So he's got a lot of experience under his belt, and it shows in the quality of his products and the just overall efficiency of his whole situation. So it's very cool to see. And he's just such a likable dude. Come on.
Of course.
He's just a good dude all around. You can find more of his stuff at Schon_Design, and that is his last name, SCHON_DSGN on Instagram. And of course, his website as well, where he sells many, many more pens. You should definitely buy the ones that we're selling, but if you don't like those, you can get more over in the Schon world.
Yep.
All right, and that does it for the Q and the A this week,
there.
Brian.
We got there.
We did.
But we're not done.
Nope.
We got more.
We do.
We are going to do a spotlight on the Diplomat Nexus. All right. Yes, Drew. We got a pen. We got quite a pen.
We do. I'm going to let you unbox this monstrosity.
Yeah.
And I'm going to record.
I don't know. You're the
unboxing.
experienced hand model here.
Oh, well, I've already experienced it. I know. This is old hat to me now.
Okay. Well, we don't want old hat. We
want new hat.
New pen.
Monbados hat.
Okay. So you tell me when you're ready, and we're going to unbox
I'm ready,
this
man.
thing.
Unbox this beast.
All right. So Diplomat, familiar looking outer packaging. They got a nice cardboard sleeve here, which I'm going to use my official pen box opening device. This is our little trick to not destroy the flaps.
Good man.
Okay, so a lot of
That thing is huge.
It's really, really big. So if you're familiar with like getting an Arrow or any of the other Diplomat pens, they have their own kind of cool design with the boxes where it's an aluminum kind of, shell, I guess, or aluminum wrapping. And then it's got the box inside that you kind of slide through. And this is just like a bigger, more extended version of that. Oop, hello. Banged my bear mug. Open up the flap.
Look at that
Nexus. Ooh, look at that too.
Nexus.
Oh, it's like inset in there. This is classy.
This is Nexus level right here.
So what do we got here? I always feel like I got to open up this stuff first, and then I throw it out of the way. Diplomat links your emotions.
It does.
I feel linked right now. All right. Thank you for buying. Dankt, ich kann fleur den Kopf. I butchered that, but
that's how you say it.
Oh, look at this. It's got like pictures in there. So this pen is interesting because it fills in a kind of a different way than some others, but spoiler alert, it's basically using an eyedropper. So if you're familiar with an eyedropper filling process, you're going to be like, oh, that's all this is? Okay, I'll move on. But there's some other cool things going on that I'll explain to you as I'm unboxing. Okay, I'm just going to set that aside.
There you go.
So inside here, we have the pen. We have a bottle of ink with some extra stuff happening here. It's a little holder. Look at this. It's like a little display stand.
And that's actually, it's like, it serves a purpose.
It does serve a purpose. So it holds your ink. It's got some nice foam in here. And then it actually holds your pen in here as well. So we'll get this thing out of here. And then there's like a secret hidden compartment underneath here. Yes. I know how much you like
I want to play that Zelda.
That's right. And then you have a couple of, Drew, I know you're a fan of these things.
I am.
Not syringes.
Drop control, baby.
But you got your droppers. So these are the little pipettes. And these are what you use to eyedropper fill the pen. So, of course, you do whatever you want with your box. But really the bulk of what you're going to be dealing with here is this situation right here. So there's two different parts to it. You have your cap and your body. This is nothing new. And then I forget how this is supposed to go in here, Drew. Oh, here we go. Okay. If I read the instructions.
It's for dropifying it.
Show. So this side on the right.
That's right.
Is that right? Or does it go the other way?
The right.
That way? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess you could do it either way, right?
No.
I mean, it sort of works. No, it's probably meant
Unacceptable.
This way. Again, let me look for the instructions. RTFM, Brian. Okay, yeah, they have it. So they have it on this side is on the left. This side is on the right. The reason it's different is because this side is just foam and this one's got a little plastic insert here. So that's kind of handy. I guess this is because if your ink drips out of the grip section, it's contained and doesn't get your foam all messy.
I didn't think about that.
So let me explain how the pen actually works. So you're familiar with the process of a fountain pen. It's nothing too unfamiliar. So it's an all metal pen. It feels very robust, decent length, decent heft. It has a rod in it, like you would think a vacuum filling pen, but it doesn't actually unscrew or anything in the back. So it's an eyedropper fill. It's not like the Opus 88 or a Namiki Emperor where it's an eyedropper fill, but it still has a slidey part in the back. This part, it's fixed. So it has a rod going through the middle, and then it is fixed right here. And then the part that actually moves and, initiates, I guess, with that rod is actually the grip of the pen. So you can see it actually moves like this, which doesn't serve any purpose while you're actually writing with it. But when you cap it, what it's doing as you're twisting it down, as you're twisting it down, like when I get to right here, I can feel it's making contact. And then as I'm twisting it down, what it's doing is it's pushing that grip on there. And that rod that has the seal on the end of it is now being engaged and it's closing the pen.
So normally what closes that gasket is the knob at the end of a vacuum fill, or
like a TWSBI Vac 700.
Yeah, or in the case of like a Namiki Emperor,
right?
It's a threaded knob.
Exactly. So this
or
one,
Opus 88 does the same thing.
Yep. So this one, the rod is fixed. So fewer parts, and you don't have to deal with any knobbage over there on the end. And it allows it for more, I guess, conventional kind of look to it. But you still get those benefits of having that sealed off chamber. So all of the ink that's in the grip section and all that is going to be, able to be written with, just like, well, actually, no. So this is different. So normally with a vacuum filling pen, the most annoying part of it is that you have to unscrew that knob periodically, because basically when you have the knob screwed all the way down, that seal is engaged there and you only get to write with what's in the grip here.
Right.
But this one is basically doing it automatically. So it closes off that seal when the pen is capped, and then when it's uncapped, it's opening it back up and allows the ink chamber to
I love that.
basically open up again.
I love that. It's effortless.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I would say if you're going to be flying with this pen and you only have a little bit of ink and you have a lot of air in here, you should still turn the pen upward when you uncap it, because that'll allow air to like kind of burp out of there. And you would want to kind of do the same thing with the vac filling pen. You don't want a lot of ink in between a lot of air, especially when you are traveling and changing altitude and stuff like that, particularly when you're going up, because you're dropping in air pressure. And it's going to be more likely to burp. Going down is not a big a deal. Anyway, I'm overcomplicating it, but that's basically how this thing is working. So really, in terms of how you write with the pen, you're just capping and uncapping it, and you're writing with it like any normal pen. You don't have to sweat it. But then the design of the pen here, the thing that's different in terms of you actually using the pen, you just set your cap aside. You can have this ink, you can have whatever other ink you want. But basically you just open up your bottle, which, this is sealed. Oh, okay, so my little cap there, there we go. And then all I'm going to do is just use and fill, in here, and I can, so you can get a good view. I'm just going to take it, I'm going to kind of drip it in here, fill it up as much as I feel like, and then be on my merry way. So I just give it a little bit of a squeeze, going to fill it up. I don't remember offhand exactly how much it takes to fill it. You don't want to like gush the stuff in there, but because it's easy to, kind of overshoot it. But I can see in there, because it's got an ink window, I can see that it's filling. It's a little more than halfway. Okay, so that was 2 mils right there.
Jeez.
So that's a pretty good amount. So that's another mil, I guess. I'm not like super paying attention to how high it's getting here, but you can pretty much fill it all the way. Well, I got 3 mils right there. And honestly, we're pretty close to the top there. So it does a little over 3 mil. That's just a good amount of ink. And then you just cap it on here. So it's got a O-ring seal right there.
And I believe that's a different type of O-ring, like not just a standard rubber. That's one of those.
It looks like
the different colors mean
the red
things.
is like I want to say it's like nitrile or maybe
remember.
something like that. Yeah, there's different types of rubber, but I mean Diplomat doesn't do things halfway, so I would assume that's going to be pretty solid. There you go. And so then when it's closed up like that, I don't know that this is like gonna like pump it and force anything through. So like any other eyedropper pen, you need to kind of like let the ink kind of get down into the pen. And I don't know that I have any paper. You got your paper over here, Drew. Can I grab your notes?
Yeah.
It's right on the back of it. And then, so there's 2 different colors of this right now. There's the blue and the black. There we go. That wasn't bad. That just took a few seconds to kind of let it sit there. And now it's flowing out. So this one here is a extra fine, apparently. So there you go. The nib's nice and smooth. Yovo makes their nibs. And yeah. Their blue ink, I haven't had a lot of experience because I don't think we regularly carry the Diplomat ink, but it's a pretty conventional, like, washable blue, kind of that royal blue kind of color. Feels very smooth though. And yeah, gosh, over 3 mils. This is going to write friggin' forever.
Brian, I really like this pen.
Really?
I really do. This has won me over. It's not every day.
It's very simple. Like it's very clean, like kind of minimalist.
It is, and it feels good. It doesn't feel too gimmicky, but also kind of gimmicky, but like gimmicky in a fun way.
It's got some heft to it. I will say that. And to me, it feels a little bit back weighted. I don't know if it's because of the rod or whatever going back here. So that is one thing, to kind of take into account.
I like that. I don't like the weight being in the front.
It doesn't post. Not that it needs to, because honestly, it's kind of heavy and it would feel really lopsided if it did. But yeah, I dig it. I mean, the nib's going to feel good because if you have an arrow or anything like that, it's the same nib, so it's going to feel really good.
I just like that it's a completely new thing. It's a new twist on an old thing.
The step's not too bad. Like it's a thread, but it's really thick and it's got like that Acme like square thread. So it's not a sharp thread. It feels pretty smooth when you do it. I did have a little trouble catching it like 1 or 2 times on there because you got a big fat square thread like that. Like it's got to catch basically in one spot because it's not most pens are a triple start thread. So you got to kind of start it in the right place. But I think they had to do that in order to engage the mechanism, securely. But very secure cap on there. It unthreads in like 3/4 of a turn or maybe a full turn. So it's very elegant to just undo like that. So yeah, there you go. Big Diplomat logo in the top. Little drop of ink there in the clip. Very clean, very simple. And you get some decent packaging. It would make good for a gift set too, I don't know if I mentioned, but the blue pen comes with blue ink and the black pen comes with black ink. I think I meant to say that and I sort of forgot to complete my thought, but there you go. That's what we got. That's the Diplomat Nexus.
That is really cool. I love that.
You dig
I really
it?
do. I don't know if I would buy one, but I'm really glad they exist.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's clever. There's some fun German engineering happening, and I always love to see that.
All right. Now that we've gotten all the worky work stuff out of the way, we get to goof off the rest of the episode, Drew. So, what has been happening? Because we have got several weeks to cover.
Man,
here
I don't
now.
remember.
You don't remember?
I don't remember
Come on.
what happened.
What about your daily journal that you keep?
Oh,
right?
Dude, no, I do not keep
No,
it.
sometimes a day?
I have
anything.
No, that starts in 2023.
Really? You're doing that?
I don't know.
I've got one. Ask
me again in 2023.
I stopped a few years ago. I could have like a 5-year gap and then start it back up again.
Yeah.
Anybody in posterity who looks at my stuff, they're going to be like, what's this guy doing? He has like 25 notebooks with sporadic days from certain months in here and this over there. Like, they're going to be like, this guy.
No, I think,
this guy was disorganized.
I can do it. I think that next year I'll do it whenever Archer is doing his homework. Because that's a good time for me to do it. We can both do some writing.
There you go.
However,
a good example.
During the summer, I don't know I need things to trigger me when it comes to consistency and habit.
Okay.
So I don't know what my summer trigger will be. We'll see.
Clearly, you need to have homework assignments.
Ugh. Gross.
No thanks.
But yeah, so we both did take a week off. You took it off for some businessy, boring, lame stuff, and I took it off just for fun because you were gone, and it was worth celebrating.
Yeah, you're like, Brian's not here. I can goof off.
Woo! Hooray! No, but I was super lazy, man. I mean, not completely lazy. When I didn't have something to do, I was just completely lazy. Okay. So I did some appointments, went to the dermatologist for the first time ever. And then, did take the dog to get the newer dog, Hank. Took him to a kind of a self-service dog wash. It was in a pet store.
Okay.
And in the back of the pet store, there was a big dog washing unit. And it has a hose that has just like a self-service car wash.
That's what I'm envisioning.
It is.
Power
It's
washing off your dog.
100%. It's even got like the little knob. You switch the knob and different stuff starts coming out of the hose. It's exactly like a self-service car wash.
Wow.
And then you've got a dryer. So it's no different than a self-service
Do they have a knob where you're like, what's the difference between ultra and ultra premium and triple liquid ultra premium foam?
Yes.
And you're like, why is the basic is $5 and the premium is $25?
No, that's
I think of like an actual car wash.
Yeah, that's an actual car wash. I'm talking about the one where you get the little sprayer.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, basically the same thing. So did that on one of the days. So that was interesting.
Cool.
It was still $15. So I'm like, it's not saving a ton anymore. Like the benefit is to not have a bunch of dog hair in your home tub.
Yeah, I can see that.
Not have like, wet dog running around the house. And to not have to put up with trying to chase your dog around the bathroom while you use your wife's hairdryer to dry it. So this was more efficient in that.
Spoken from experience here. I can tell.
I don't know. Of course not. But $15, I don't know. We'll see.
I have no perspective on this.
Yeah. It was also for Hank's birthday today. He's 3 now.
Wow.
Today. Happy birthday, Hank.
Happy birthday.
And then, played a bunch of video games. So boot up the old 360, played the first Gears of War on that.
Okay.
Kind of reminisced there.
All right.
Finished up Batman Arkham City, which is another older game, but just kind of went back to that. I also finished up another game, Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I had been playing, but just happened to finish it off.
Right.
And then I got a new game, Brian.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
New PS4 game. So we're back in the modern era now.
Okay.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Wow.
Tsushima.
Tsushima.
If you really want to butcher it. But yes, it is a samurai game.
Okay.
It is so cool.
Yeah?
Yes. It's during the Mongol invasion. So you're fighting Mongols, being awesome.
Okay.
It's about like you're a samurai doing samurai things, but you lose the battle in the beginning and all your other samurai are presumed dead.
Oh, boy.
And you need to decide, like, am I going to keep being a samurai or am I going to start being sneaky and assassinating people? So you're kind of at odds with your own samurai code and morals, but you need to get the job done.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's real cool. And it's so pretty. It's like, it's like feudal Japan, what the movies make it look like. So like all these like beautiful fields with like petals of flowers blowing in the wind constantly.
Yeah.
And leaves just falling everywhere.
All the time.
All the time.
Of course.
So obviously, you know that doesn't happen, but you want it to. If you have a game set in Japan, you want those leaves falling. You want it to look like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
You're like, in real life, if I was here for a day, there would be like 3 feet of leaves on the ground.
Right. You drown
they've
in
been
leaves.
falling consistently all day.
Absolutely. But you know what I think? I'm like walking around these fields, it looks so beautiful. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope this guy doesn't have allergies. Like, that's all I think. I'm like, all that stuff blowing in the air. I'm like, oh God. Oh no.
Yes.
Put on your little samurai mask, dude. Like it's not.
Your age is showing on that
Oh
one,
God.
Drew. I don't think most kids are thinking about that when they're playing this game.
So many allergies. I can't. Not fun.
For sure.
So, but that's been a ton of fun. I've been really enjoying playing that.
Nice.
And I took, Shannon took 2 days off with me. So 2 of the days I had off.
Awesome.
I was half day Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was all my own. And then Thursday, Friday, I stayed with Shannon. So
nice.
We did go to Williamsburg one of those days, had just a nice chill hangout day between the two of us. Walked around, got some ice cream, enjoyed the weather. It was a very nice day.
Awesome.
Very good day. And then this past weekend, we celebrated my brother Zach's birthday, and he likes this German restaurant up in Stanton.
Okay.
Staunton.
Boulder.
So I said, like, hey, we should go to that restaurant you like. And then that turned into, well, it's kind of far away. Maybe we could rent a house for one night, just so we don't have to drive all the way back. And then that turned into
because that's what, like an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe.
The restaurant.
Traffic.
The restaurant's about 90 minutes from Richmond. So
yeah, that's a bit of a hike to go back.
It is. So Zach presented us with a few options. All were too expensive. I'm like, no, come on. This is just a convenience thing. This isn't a destination. So
no, this is like.
So I picked the cheapest one.
Pull over the Pontiac Aztec and set up the tent. And, yeah.
So I picked the cheapest one. It was a condo. I'm like, this is fine. I'll sleep in a twin bed in the same room as my brother. That's fine. I haven't been in a twin bed in a long time. Yes, my feet are going to hang off, but that's fine. And when Zach was looking for these properties, he was just looking at distance, not time. So it was about 12 miles from the restaurant, seemingly
Doesn't
convenient.
Seem that far, yeah.
No, it's not, unless it's on the other side of a mountain.
Oh, yes, because there are mountains in this area.
There are.
Wow.
So it ended up being about 45 minutes away from the restaurant.
Oh my gosh.
So
this is the place that you're staying to keep you from having to drive 90 minutes.
Yes.
So instead you're driving 45 minutes each way to the restaurant from the place that you're staying.
Yes.
That's convenient.
No, it's not.
Oh gosh.
At all. So, but
at least the weather was clear and nice, right? Because in mountainous areas, it's always
never in my life
clear.
Have I driven with such low visibility.
Really?
Than I did Friday night.
Because I've driven over that mountain and there's always all these warnings and stuff of like, fog is everywhere. I've yet to drive over that mountain with fog.
I
just happened to hit it right
10 feet in front of me. No joke.
Gosh, that's terrifying.
I was crawling.
on like a highway or like
just up swirly switchback mountain.
Oh my
roads.
gosh. Oh, that's terrifying.
I could not see a thing.
Wow.
I was like, it was almost comical. I'm like, I'm blind. I cannot see a thing.
Oh my gosh.
Like I've driven in blizzards that, were difficult to see, but this was something else, man.
And fog is relentless. It just doesn't.
It was insane.
Yeah, wow.
I've never seen anything like it.
Wow.
I feel like, seriously, if you stacked maybe 3 of me in front of the car, that's probably how far it was. So maybe 20 feet, maybe. But eventually we got it was in the Wintergreen ski resort property.
Okay.
Like that's where we were staying, up the freaking ski mountain.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't find the condo. Zach called the person. They're like, I think there's somewhere where you can get a map. I don't know. So we're like, oh my God.
Because I'm surprised you had cell service because
Barely.
the mountains there. Oh
Barely.
My gosh. Wow.
So we're just driving around trying to find the heck where this place is.
Wow.
And missing it, going back, being confused. And I'm like, guys, I'm ready to just go home. I'm ready to go to that restaurant and then go home. Like, I don't even care.
Yeah, because you told the story before where you like couldn't find parking at a concert.
I went to
you were meeting
DC.
your brother.
Yeah, I went to DC.
You
drove
like
up there,
2 hours.
Couldn't find a parking spot. Went right back.
went
I was like,
home.
nah, screw it. I'm not doing this. I have no patience for that. It's not worth it.
Ready to go full quit mode.
I have no problem quitting things. But eventually we found it after going to the wrong place. And oh my God. So we get there, walk in. We're like, all right, here it is.
But the food was amazing, right?
We haven't even gotten to the restaurant yet.
Oh, you're just...
We went to the condo first to check in.
Oh, you're just trying to get to the place.
Yeah. So now to go get the food, we have to go back down the mountain, all that stuff again with the same bad visibility.
Oh my gosh.
And then we went to eat. And then we had to go back up the mountain again to get home.
It's good.
And I was sick, Brian. I had a cold. I feel like crap. And I'm like,
wow.
Oh, it was so bad. I was glad I was driving because if anybody else was driving, I'd be super paranoid. I was driving my car. I was familiar with it. Good tires, all-wheel drive, but still, like, man, it was just... The food was okay. It was authentic German as far as I could tell.
Well, if you were sick too, maybe you like couldn't taste it as well.
I like goulash.
Okay.
Which
is that German?
No, it was Hungarian style goulash.
Oh,
apparently.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
It was just kind of a pot roast.
Okay.
It was fine.
That's good.
Yeah. There was an accordion player there though. That was nice.
Okay.
That was good.
That's cool.
Good for the ambiance. But
nice.
Yeah. Zach was happy. And that's
what matters, right?
That's what matters.
It's his birthday.
He got his Wiener Schnitzel, so hooray for that.
Wow.
But man, it was exhausting. It really was exhausting. Then we went back home and Chad was like, hey, how about we play some poker? I was like, all right, that's fine. We didn't have any chips or anything, so we're like, let's just see who has the best hand. I'm like, well, then there's no stakes. So I went to the silverware drawer and just dumped a bunch of silverware onto the table. We were playing for forks, knives, and spoons.
Makes as much sense as chips.
Yep. So we did that. Then the next day they wanted to go to Charlottesville and look at record stores because they're into records. They like to buy vinyl records. So
that's like a thing.
Yeah. They're record guys.
Okay.
So they did that. Came back home. Was able to relax for a little bit because again, I'm sick during this.
You're like needing to recover at this point.
Oh, also I didn't sleep a wink because Chad apparently has like sleep apnea or something, and he could not breathe the entire night. And here he is in a twin bed, 5 feet away from me, just like like all night long. And it wasn't like snoring for 10 minutes and then stopping for a little while. It was consistent the entire night. I was like, it was almost funny. I'm like, he's not gonna stop. This is just. I was like, Chad, bro, that's not good. You have something wrong with you. He's like, yeah, my wife's been telling me that.
Oh my god.
I'm like, yeah, dude.
Go get it checked out.
Seriously.
Sleep
like that is
no joke.
Bad.
Yeah, the man needs a machine.
Oh my god. I hadn't slept. Wow. I'm sick and tired. Oh my god.
It's a very selfless weekend for you, Drew.
And then so I get home, was able to relax a little bit, play some Ghost of Tsushima. And then they wanted to watch the UFC. So they came over to watch the UFC fight at my house.
Okay.
And that was actually really good. And then the next day was Friendsgiving with a bunch of our friends. So we did that. We had to make 5 pounds of mashed potatoes. No, like 15 pounds of mashed potatoes, something like that. I don't know.
15 pounds?
2 full bags of potatoes.
That's probably more like 5. Well, I don't know. How many bags?
I think 1 bag of potatoes felt like 5 pounds.
I don't know. It might be.
Yeah, maybe 10 pounds. At least 10 pounds of mashed potatoes.
Either way, it's a lot of potatoes.
So many mashed potatoes. So we did that. And again, that's like social and talking and people. And yeah, I'm still tired.
I could tell.
I'm still tired.
I'm tired listening to you. Not of you, but just I'm in with you in this story.
Yeah. It was a lot.
And if your illness was anything like mine, like I was not like completely like sick, like flu type of a thing.
Yeah,
like,
no. This was just a cold. Started off with sore throat, congestion,
that's kinda
and
what
then
I had.
ended with coughing. So
That's kind of what I
But,
had. But I had tons of fatigue. So you're just like, everything feels like slower.
the fatigue didn't happen. No, I did have fatigue. Yeah, and then but like when I got there, it was pretty much like, all right, I have been sick. I need to rest now. But no, you can't. Can't rest. No rest
That's
for
the
you.
worst. That's
I
the
know.
worst.
I know.
When you're like, I have all this stuff scheduled that's like for other people.
And the UFC ended at 1, by the way.
Oh
so
my gosh.
night 1 couldn't sleep because of Chad's snoring. Night 2 didn't get to sleep until after 1 p.m. 1
Yeah.
a.m.
And watching a UFC fight is not like, let's just chill and watch.
No, it's
a
really
fight.
not.
It's like you're like amped up.
And we usually drink a lot of coffee too.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Because it's in my house. I don't have any alcohol.
This is
so
like yeah, right. This is like the opposite of everything you should be
if
doing.
we usually do it at Chad's house, and Chad and Zach will, have some IPAs or something. But now we're at Drew's lame house. So it's just like, you want some coffee, guys?
right? Coffee or water.
Yeah, pretty much. And then the last thing I'll say is I'm playing a game in my car now since it's starting to become colder
Okay.
every morning. So the Mazda is a newer car. I drive the older car that's almost at 200,000 miles.
Ooh,
On
wow.
yeah.
Impressive.
CRV, man. And the vents don't work properly. So
Oh boy.
when I reach the point where I have to put it on defrost, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get the face vents back again.
Oh boy.
Because if I switch back, they're not going to come back on.
Oh gosh.
You switch back to the face vents and you just wait. And it could be days, could be weeks.
Oh gosh.
But when it happens, you're like, oh, yes. It's delightful. So I'm like
Wow.
trying so hard not to have to put it on defrost despite the ice and the
When you
fog.
need it though, there's no
I know.
there's no other way.
I know. I'm holding off, man. I'm holding off because I like my face heat. So
I mean, there's like a dual mode usually, but that's like feet and
defrost. Yeah, that works fine. It's the face vents that don't work well. Yep. And you can hear it when it happens, just like thunk, and then whoosh. So there's some sort of diverter in the dash that moves and it's sticking somewhere.
It's probably something relatively simple, but it's just like
But it's way back
deep
in there. Yeah,
somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So pray for me on that.
Okay. I
Thank
will. Yeah. It's like, yeah. It's not a game of chicken that you want to have to play.
No.
Like,
I'm just waiting. But then there's going to be a point where I'm like, Drew, this is unsafe. Turn on your damn defrost. Like,
yeah. Nah, you can't do that.
right.
I still don't understand the science behind the defrost. It's like magic to me. This is one of these things like I can understand a lot of things.
Well, no, it's
And I'm
like
I'm pretty like mechanical.
have you ever like breathed hot air onto a glass, like and left steam?
Yeah.
And then just gone and blown cold air on it and watch it disappear?
No, I've never done that.
Yeah, it works.
I've done the hot breath thing.
If you do on a window and then go on the window,
So the defroster is blowing cold air.
you can change it, but I think that it just
Like what happens when you hit the defrost button in your car? What is it doing?
it's just blowing air on the window.
The same air? Like warm air?
It's whatever you pick. Sometimes
But what is actually defrosting it? Is
it depends on what you have going on. So if you're trying to defrost ice, then yeah, turn on the heat and defrost that ice that's on the outside. But if you have that weird if you have that weird like internal
Yeah, I'm
fog
talking the
stuff,
internal stuff. That's the stuff that like I don't understand.
that
what's
I think should
happening.
be cool air.
Because it's probably because I think like when I've like there's no ice on the outside of the car. This is very boring. I'm sorry. This is literally like I don't understand what's happening.
But no, people know. There's somebody
Everybody's
out there
like
that's like Brian,
screaming
Drew.
at their computers like Brian, it's
Right.
not that complicated.
Right. Or
Like
telling me, no, Drew, you're wrong.
Like you run a business, you can weld, you can do woodworking, but you don't understand this. Yes, that is. I have blind spots. Because like I don't know, I'll go for a run or something, and like I'm warm, like my body's radiating heat, and I get in a car on a cold day, and it like fogs up everything.
Yeah.
Right. So when I put the defroster on, it's blowing cold air, right?
I think so.
Counteract
That's what I would do.
because
Yeah.
hot air would just make it worse, right?
To be honest, I just flip it around and find what works.
Yeah, I that's what I do too. I
Yeah.
don't really know what's happening.
Yeah,
I'm like pushing buttons and I'm like, is this even doing anything? Is it like the elevator like open close buttons?
I'll say that I think
is
it's
this even connected? Like this doesn't seem like it's doing anything. I feel like it's a placebo effect.
No, I mean it actually changes. Like you can see the change.
No, actually the elevator like close button
Oh, that. Yeah, no, it is.
is mostly a placebo.
Yeah,
effect.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. Anyway, So
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you for explaining it to me, Drew.
That's my whole life. That's my whole life.
Wow. All right. Wow.
Stupid
that
car,
sounds
tired body,
hard. Yeah.
and video games.
So you needed to like get sick first and then have your week off and then get to
know.
relax. You did it like opposite.
I know.
Wow. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, I had, yeah. Are you good? You good? Am I transitioning?
I've sufficiently made myself more tired.
All right, very good. Well, I'll perk you up with some of my shenanigans. So I traveled. This is 2 weeks ago. So I traveled across the country. I went to California to do some networking stuff with other e-commerce folks. So I'm in a small private group of e-commerce individuals, and basically we just kind of networked and we talked to each other about how we do business. So it was a very different. I mean, obviously, I'm in the business world and I'm like thinking about pens, but like I'm talking about pens to people who know nothing about the details of pens. Really, it's more about like the business and the strategy and like the bigger picture kind of stuff. So I do get to talk about pens and the community and stuff like that, but it's very different than going to like a pen show or something, for example, or doing like a company event that we're doing. So I'm talking to people who understand, whether it's like producing content, and we talk about YouTube and these types of things, and just like general business things, shipping, issues and all kinds of stuff. And, I really appreciate being connected into these groups like this because there's a lot of stuff that we deal with, Rachel and I, especially as owners, that is just stuff that, basically, unless you're running an e-commerce business, you just don't run across some of these things every day. So I found that to be super beneficial. And I'm a little more of the extrovert, especially between me and Rachel, but just kind of in general in our company. I feel like we have a lot of introverts. I'm a little more on the extroverted side. So getting to go and network with other people is like something that fills my tank up,
And also this casually, you're not going to just randomly come across anybody that kind of knows what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I do get to talk about it, like facets of it, just like you do with whatever weird thing you're into. It's like if you're into like, your video game stuff and you come across somebody else and they're into the video games, you're like, oh, I get to go like go deep on this thing with this person.
Right.
It's kind of like that, but it's like with all the business stuff because I'm doing this like the majority of my time.
And that's super cool.
Yeah,
because
but I can do that. And like every person I talk to, I'm like, oh, I can go deep on.
And that's awesome because I can find people here to talk to me about video games.
For sure.
You can't casually run across another business owner.
It's more rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if I do, they might be in real estate or they might sell insurance.
Yeah.
Or something like
different.
that. Yeah. E-commerce has its own flair. So getting to be with that group of people is like, it's a very special group. Not unlike the same feeling you have when you go to a pen show and you're like, oh, everybody here is connected through their love of pens. We're all that like one person that we know in our lives who's more into this than anybody else who's like in our direct social circle. So when you get together with other people like that, it's like, it's very special. So it's kind of like that for me, but in a different, it's a tangential facet, like a strong Venn diagram, obviously. But anyway, so that was really cool. So I got to go and network with a bunch of folks. And that was really cool because I get to hear about all kinds of things, like, especially with COVID stuff and kind of like the post-COVID world that we're finding ourselves in, and just talking to other people about all the stuff that they've had to go through with their businesses. Some people I'm like, wow, that's really inspiring. That's smart. Wow, I should really look into that. Other people I'm like, oh, that sounds horrifying. Like, I'm so glad I didn't deal with that.
So what, after they're done talking to you, what do you think they're saying?
I found that we're like relatively just stable. Like the fountain pen industry is relatively mature, just like as an industry. Fountain pens had their heyday in like the early mid 1900s. Relatively speaking, been pretty stable. It's a fraction of what it was in its peak. And those who are there in this world, they want to be there. We all love it. We're not growing like crazy every year. It's very solid. Yeah. So it's like it's not unlike when you look at social media or you talk to your friends or you hear about somebody like, oh yeah, oh man, look at this. They just moved to a new house. Wow, that new house looks amazing. And like at a glance, you look at it and you're like, man, I wish I had a nice house like that. But then when you get to spend more time with them, you talk to them, you're like, oh, okay, so this house, it's like from the 20s and the electrical is all messed up and like their bathtub doesn't actually work and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, that actually doesn't sound as charming as what I was thinking at first glance. Like you realize like everybody has problems. You're basically just getting whatever flavor of problems for whatever situation you're in.
Yes.
And once you kind of understand that, you're like, oh, like somebody buys a new car. Well, they have new car problems. You know, if you have an old car, you have old car problems. You know, if you have pets, you have pet problems.
Yep.
If you have whatever, you buy a house, you have house problems.
It's very true.
Everybody's got problems. So it's like, it's always good for me to get perspective like that, because you're like, yeah, nobody's really got it like super easy. We're all dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
You know? So it was really helpful to get that perspective and to hear that from other people, because it's very easy to look at a glance and think like, wow, everybody's got it figured out. And then you talk to people and you're like, well, they do have it figured out like in this area, but then you talk to them and you're like, well, what about this? And they're like total blind spot over there. And you're like, ooh.
Or those situations where you realize nobody's got to figure out. And
yes.
because you're like, man, I don't feel like, man, I don't know anything. And you go to one of these events, you're like, oh, wait, none of y'all know? Oh, okay. I don't feel so bad now.
Oh, yeah. Like that definitely happens. Like as a successful business owner, I say successful because like I'm still doing it after 13 years.
Right.
I consider that successful. You know, you talk to other people and it's basically like, oh, wait, so there's not some like big secret that everybody's figured out that I haven't yet to figure it out. Everybody's just kind of like dealing with new problems that happen every day, and you're kind of stumbling through it, and you're just trying to like stand on top of your failures instead of be buried under them. Like that's what it means to be successful.
There we go.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. So I guess as long as I'm still in the game, in the arena, so to speak, to go with the Teddy Roosevelt speech, like that's what it is. It's not like, oh, I've got it all figured out and it's just easy street. That really doesn't exist. So yeah, this is kind of helpful to get that perspective again. So that was great. So I did that. It was like it wasn't a huge event. It was like 2.5 days, pretty intimate groups, like 40 people. So I got to spend a lot of time talking with folks, made some really good connections there. But of course it's in California and we're in Virginia. It's a full day of travel on each end. So this is not like the ideal time of year to travel, because it's like we have a lot of family birthdays in our family that happen around winter time. So things are starting to amp up there. I had my nephew's birthday party this past weekend. My mom's is going to be coming up soon. We got Thanksgiving in here. My kids are going to both have theirs near Christmas time. You know, we have like a lot of family things that happen around this time. It's just how it worked out. And then of course, this is a busy time of year for us. We had Fountain Pen Day. We have all these other things. I had several extended family members all get sick.
Everybody's getting sick right now.
Right before I left. So like Rachel, bless her heart. I left on this trip. She was like bringing dinner to like our local family and stuff like that. She was taking care of the kids. She was taking care of stuff here at work.
Wow.
I was off doing my thing, and she was a total trooper. So she gets the award for holding it together for everybody, as she always does. But it was really a lot for her.
Yeah, there's really been some stuff going around.
Yeah,
like,
it's just
not COVID, like flu and cold.
Well,
like,
COVID too. I mean,
COVID too.
There was a mix of everything kind of
really
going around.
It's a lot of stuff going on.
Like we're trying to make plans with our kids, friends, and stuff like that, and it's like half the plans we make get canceled because somebody's sick. It's just crazy.
We're trying to take a company photo this week. I'm like,
it's rough. It's rough.
I don't know, man.
Just even like scheduled things where everybody can be here, but then like illnesses and all that, you're like, we're just not. We're gonna have to do the Michael Scott Photoshop job with like everybody's heads in there.
Everybody jump.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. So then literally like the morning that I'm getting ready to come home, I wake up and I'm like, oh, I've got like that feeling in my throat.
Yep, that's where it begins.
I've got that kind of like mucusy, kind of like I got a sickness that's coming on kind of a thing. And I'm like, great. Yeah. This is what I need to bring home to the family. So, well, first off, so Monday of that week, we had Halloween, and my kids are 10 and 12 and they're giants. So they look like adults. they're like, I mean, they're still with their friends and it was fine, but like they're getting to the age where they're like, yeah, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this kind of a thing. And it was great. We had a good time, did the whole Halloween thing with them. But my flight, in order to make it to start this event, I had a 6:30 flight the following morning. The boarding was at 6 o'clock, which means I had to wake up, drive 30 minutes to the airport. I had to wake up at 3:45 in the morning. And I'm going to California, which is 3 hours behind us. So I'm waking up the equivalent of 12:45 a.m. California time.
Oh, man.
To go travel there. I get there, and then I gotta like get calibrated onto West Coast
We are
time.
exhausting everybody just talking about all this. Everybody's gonna be just
So I'm like
stressed and
sleep deprived. Halloween did the whole thing. Sleep deprived. I got like not that much sleep, and then I go and I'm traveling and I got connections and the whole thing with the airport and all that. And then I get there and it's like 11 o'clock in the morning, but I've already been up for like 10 hours and I'm super tired. And I'm like, we haven't even started anything yet. And I get there and it's like people are starting to come in and
I'm ready for their day.
Talking and networking. I'm talking and networking and doing the whole thing. And it's like, I mean, it's continuous networking and talking. So it's like an introvert would die on day one at this type of stuff. Because like, and every conversation I'm having is like, getting into how we do the business and the whole, it's like very like engaging. Like it's very, it's like when you go to a pen show and you talk to people and you come out and you're like, whew, like, wow. I was like, your brain is like warm, you know, because of just like how much you've been engaging.
Can you stay on the floor the whole time or do you need to like to go off and like kind of find a cool down place?
So I'm kind of like an ambivert. I will go like, I'm like, if I was to go with a, comic book metaphor. I'm like Juggernaut. So like once I get going, I can just like forge ahead.
I did not know you knew about Juggernaut.
I do know Juggernaut. couldn't tell you anything else other than that.
Did you learn that in 3rd grade?
I learned it not too long ago. I don't know. No, maybe.
All right.
I've never read a Juggernaut or anything, but I know that that's a thing that Juggernaut does.
It is,
like,
You
have to like stop Juggernaut before he gets going because nothing can stop him once he's rolling, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like that. Like when I get rolling and all that, but then I'll go and we talked until like 1 o'clock in the morning. They had like a little bonfire type thing, and I love like fire. I think it's so cool. So it's like it's chilly. We're talking around a fire. I'm like, this is awesome. We all go to bed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been up for like 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I go back to my room and I'm like, I'm exhausted. And then I get 6 hours of sleep, wake up, and do it again.
Stuff like that can exhaust your immune system, I think.
I probably didn't help.
Yeah.
So yeah, that plus traveling and all that. I wore a mask on the plane and everything. Nobody else did, but I did. And, because I was like, I'm not even that worried about it. I'm just like, I know that I'm just like going to get exposed to all kinds of stuff. So, So then I got sick. It wasn't terrible. And it was like the kind of thing that was like, I felt under the weather, but I wasn't like, I can sleep all day. I'm laid up. I had no temperature, that kind of a thing. I just felt crappy.
Yeah.
And kind of tired and stuff like that. But
that was similar to what I had.
So this trip bookended, I had Halloween with the kids. And then the next day coming back, I got back at, I think it was like 10 o'clock at night, East Coast time. And then I had to drive home and all that kind of stuff. And the kids were excited. The next day, we were going to Brickfest.
That's right.
Same Brickfest you went to.
Yep.
Which is like a Lego-based thing that was at the Richmond Convention Center. My kids were excited about it. And I was like, I bookended this trip around like 2 things with my kids. And I knew that the travel was going to be a beast.
I was really surprised you went to Brickfest.
I rallied.
Man.
I did it. And it's fun. I've taken Joseph there several times. Ellie had never been. Mm-hmm. And, it's not like, I don't think it's an official Lego thing.
It's not.
It's like an off-brand Lego thing. It's all Lego based. But it's kind of fun. It's an experience. I'm not going to like, let's go every year. But it's like, it was fun, especially for Ellie. But
I don't think we'll need to go next year.
Yeah. Our kids went home and they played with Legos at home, and it was like equally as fun.
And they don't sell anything you can't buy at Target.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool for like younger kids. I think. But for like kids my kids' age, it was like okay.
Yeah, Archer at first was like I think he just wanted to go shopping in a giant Lego store because he was like these are all like activities. I don't want to do activities. And I didn't really know what to expect either. The first thing he wanted to do was just go look at what you can get.
Okay.
And I'm like. And he's like, he brought his wallet and everything, and he was excited to buy stuff. He's like, these are like nothing special. I was like, sorry, buddy, I didn't know what to expect. But he did do the build your own race car thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And he won.
Nice.
His little car came in first place.
That's cool. That's cool.
We had told him beforehand, we're like, all right, hey, you're probably not going to win.
Yeah.
If you do, great. If you don't, you have to be okay. So we're just because
it's like Lego derby cars. You build Legos and they race them.
Yeah, down the ramp. And they had the wheels that connected to the bottom were weighted so that they actually provided good speed.
Cool.
So it was actually really cool. But
nice.
His little group raced and he won. He turned to me just like, did that actually happen?
Wow.
I got it on video. It was a great reaction.
Fun.
Yeah,
that's fun.
So that
was
like
really that
cool.
moment right there is like he's gonna remember that.
It was worth that moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I mean, it was good. I'm glad we did that. And Rachel went too. She normally does not want to go things with people. It's just like not her thing. But it was like. Ellie wanted to go, Joseph wanted, and it was like, well, let's all go. We're like, what the heck? So we all went, and that was all fine. But it's like downtown, you got to park, you got to do the whole thing. So it's like, we're doing this. I'm not feeling super great. I was like, I'm just going to wear a mask and like not stand around a lot of people. And like, there was plenty of space and stuff like that.
Yeah, it wasn't super crowded.
Yeah, but even still, I had just come off this trip and I'm like pretty tired and I'm like, a little bit like that.
No.
And then I'm just like, the fatigue like catches up with me and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like quasi functional around the house. And Rachel's already been holding things down at the house. And I'm like trying so hard to like help out, but I'm just like not fully functional.
Yeah.
And then like the work week starts and everything. And it was like, I was coming in here and there, but like basically most of last week was just me. Like I would wake up and go to like a couple morning meetings and start working and stuff. And I would be like falling asleep at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, this is not normal.
Yeah. I was in a meeting that you were supposed to be in and Jen and I were in it. And we were like, so do you think Brian's probably in?
Like, is Brian dead?
Like,
what is up with him?
She said, I think that Rachel said he was going to take a rest. Let me talk to Rachel. Yeah, he's still resting. We're gonna let him. We're just going to cancel this. We'll let him sleep.
It was so bad because it's like when you're, it's like when you get like completely laid out with an illness, you're like, whatever. Your fever's 104. You're like, I have the flu. I'm out of commission.
Right when it's obvious.
But when you're like trying to hang in there and you're like, oh, my throat's a little scratchy. I've got a bit of a cough, but I'm doing cough drops. It's not that bad.
Right.
But then you're like just struggling to function and like the brain fog and all that. I'm like,
well, you have a choice there.
Yeah,
There's sometimes when your body doesn't even give you a choice.
Yeah.
During that though, you have to make the choice. And it's hard because physically I am capable of doing these tasks.
Yeah.
But at a cost. Like, is it worth it? Is the cost worth it?
That's pretty much like my thing. Oh, I didn't even tell you one fun thing coming back from California. So I had like an hour, 15-minute layover in O'Hare in Chicago, and the flight got delayed. So I landed and I had 14 minutes before takeoff at my connection.
Nope.
14 minutes. Thankfully, it was just the next gate over. But when I go on shorter trips like that, like if I can do a trip in under a week, I try not to check a bag because I'm like, that's just more complication.
Right.
I don't want to deal with the airports. I'm going to carry everything on. So I had like my bags, my backpack, and the carry-on and everything. And I'm like starting to feel sick. Been sitting on this cramped plane for 5 straight hours, 6 hours, I think, because it was delayed. 6 hours. Didn't even get up to go to the bathroom because I was like in the window seat. And I'm like, I'm a large person and I'm disproportionately long-legged. So when I get into a plane seat, I'm like locked in. Like I got to maneuver and I got to disrupt the whole row if I got to get up. So I try not to move. So I was like sardine in there for like 6 hours. And then they were like, oh yeah, we're delayed, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I got 14 minutes. So I got it and I booked it and I ran and I made it. But like, I had to go to the bathroom, all this stuff. I had no time. I had to go and get on there. And I was like, thankfully I was able to.
This is the most stressful Pencast ever recorded.
I tell Rachel about this kind of stuff. She's like, this is why I never want to go anywhere. She's like, this stuff horrifies me. And I was like, I just do it and you can get over it. And whatever. It worked out. So anyway, that was all leading into the whole Brick Festival kind of stuff. So, but anyway, so I was sick last week. Sorry I missed the Pencast. Was planning to do it. But Rachel was like, no, I'm calling it. You're too sick to do a Pencast. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're probably right. On the happier notes, my kids are still super into chess. I did binge watch the entire Queen's Gambit on my flight over to California.
Nice.
Literally, I was just like, I downloaded them all on my phone on Netflix. And I was like, well, I'll just watch it and see how it goes. And I was watching, I was like, oh, that's really good. I'll watch the next one. And I
whole thing
realized I watched the entire miniseries or whatever it is, only like 8 or 9 episodes or something. And I was like, oh, I just watched the whole thing. Cool. Okay. So I was like, well, that's fun. So the kids are getting better. They're beating me more regularly. Turns out I'm really not as great at chess as I remembered from my childhood. I guess I was good for like being 10 from my memory, but I don't think I've progressed much since then because I haven't really played much chess.
That's me in literally anything. Like, how good I am. Like I will.
Yeah.
I don't improve on anything. If I'm like really good at something just from the beginning, great. But generally, like if I stay the same at pretty much everything.
So I found there's a double-edged sword, and maybe it's this way for video games too, because there's skill-based stuff, but it's like pretty popular and like very quantifiable, and there's like competitions and all these things. So like you can see pretty clearly like how you stack up. Like when we were kids, it was like whatever, your cousin or your friend or whatever, like if you could beat them in whatever, Street Fighter 2, you're like, oh yeah, I'm the best. But now like it's very quantifiable. You can see that like, oh, I'm in the bottom like 10% of the world of people that play this game. That doesn't help my ego.
For the amount of, if I had dedicated the amount of time I've spent playing video games to any other thing, I'd be so good at it.
Right.
But no, I'm bad at video games. I'm not good. I still play them on easy mode.
Yeah.
It's like, I know.
It's just enjoyable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that for me with, well, like Rubik's Cubes. Like I can solve Rubik's Cubes, but then you like look at like the competitions and there's like a whole thing. There's like a whole world around that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really not very good at it.
You can solve a Rubik's Cube in 30 seconds, man. That's really good.
Yeah, not in the Rubik's Cube world. No, it's like embarrassing to solve it that slow.
Well,
in like
I've never even solved one at all in my life.
Well, yeah, so like the general population, like
yeah,
sure.
that's
so
impressive to the general
cool,
population,
right? And for like people that don't know how to play chess, like okay, I can do chess, but then like okay. Anyway, my whole thing is like I'm like, oh, let me get into chess and look at this. And what do I do? Let me watch some YouTube videos. Cause I'm like, I don't remember, like, I couldn't even remember like castling. Like, how does that even work? Like, I sort of knew what that was, but I was like, I'm really digging deep because my kids wanted me to learn. And I was like, oh, I really don't quite remember all this. Did I even learn it properly in the first place? I learned it at like summer camp.
Yeah.
I don't know. The kids that taught me could have been completely wrong.
Sure.
So I'm like, let me go into YouTube and learn how to do some of the stuff. And I get into it. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a whole, I mean, chess is a super popular game and has been for like hundreds, thousands, maybe. I think it's like a 1,500-year-old game, something crazy like that.
Idea.
Yeah. Well, there's like a whole thing. Chess.com is a major, there's lots of them, but chess.com is like the big one. Multi-billion-dollar company that has like, they have apps, they have website, you like can play, compete. It has like, it tracks every move you make in the game and shows you like the statistics and the algorithms and all the openings and stuff like that and pairs it up with like, you know, your likelihood of winning with that opening based on all of the other games that people in this universe have played. And it's like this whole thing that I'm just like, oh my gosh. I mean, it makes sense. I'm like, yeah, of course the internet, like there would be a thing around this, but like think of how many like millions of people are playing chess like every day probably. And I was just like, wow, there's a whole world here. And there's tutorials and instructions. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And I start playing and I'm playing against people and they like rate you with scores and all that. And I'm just like getting the crap beat out of me. And I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm not that great.
Humbling.
Very humbling. But if I want to get better, I could. But then it's like anything else. You're like, oh yeah, in order to get better, you just have to invest a lot of time and energy and practice and be diligent, just like anything else, just like improving your handwriting or just like learning how to weld or just like running a marathon or whatever. You have to like commit yourself to it. And I'm like, the problem is I want to do everything and I can't be very good at anything unless I like commit to just a few things. And I don't really want to do that. So we'll see. But anyway, so chess is fun. My kids are starting to beat me more regularly. And I'm realizing that I'm actually not that great, but I'm trying to teach them better. Like I'm super encouraging to them.
Oh yeah.
Like I will like let them take back moves if I see like, I'm like, wait, do you sure you want to do that? Cause it's going to do this. And I always talk through the moves, but I don't let myself take back any moves. So that's why I'm losing a lot is because I'm like, I'm making a move and I'm like, as soon as I make the move, I'm like, crap.
So are you becoming a little less merciless and never letting them win? It sounds like when you first approached this chapter with them, you were like pretty set on, I'm not going to go easy on them ever.
Well, I try to make it, I've always tried to make it instructional. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But if they really want to do a move, I'm not going to tell them like, you can't do that. You know, in chess, there's a lot of different options, you know, so it's like, I will try to instruct, but if they just want to do their own thing, yeah, okay, we're going to do that. But, you know, I will do that. And Joseph is a little more instructable. Ellie is she wants to make her own, wants to forge her own path. So with Ellie, there's a little less of the instructing that happens. Her default phrase with anything is, I know, like, you know, I'll come home and be like, hey, Ellie, they opened a new restaurant down the street. I know. You don't know. There's no way you know that. You were in school all day. No one told you about this. Like, it's impossible for you to know that. I just told you this news. I know.
Argumentative kids, man.
Like, she's strong-willed. I love her for that.
But
it is a challenge.
I told Archer to cover his mouth when he coughed yesterday.
Okay.
And his excuse was, I was chewing. Okay. Cover your freaking mouth.
All the more reason.
Right. I'm like, what? He just has to say something about everything. I'm like,
yep.
What? But it was so instinctive. Like, I was chewing.
Oh, yes.
Like, and then I let him just think about that for a little while. Like,
oh, yeah.
How is that a...
Oh.
And he just quiet.
Oh, it's going to get better.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean worse? You say better, but your eyebrow is doing. No. Stop that. Stop it.
Oh yeah.
God, dang.
Oh yeah. That'll become the majority of your interactions.
Oh God.
It's fun. I know, I'm just joking. But another cool thing though, Joseph. So we have had some like little woodworking projects with him. Like
like the little zigzaggy thing.
Stuff. So
which I've been shopping for, by the way.
Well, there you go. You got to.
I can't find one large enough. They're all kind of small.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
how big are you looking for? I mean,
I want to replace his Lego. He's got one of those Target like things you can shove like the cube things in.
Okay.
So it's 6 openings.
Okay.
So I wanted at least 6.
Okay.
There, but some of the Legos could not fit on the ones that are for sale. The ones that are for sale, I see people like putting like Funko Pops on. I'm like that's small.
Joseph
like,
and I built the ones we built. The squares are like maybe 10 inches, cube, which is not huge.
Yeah. I guess I was looking for something closer to 12, but they don't seem to be out there. But there are other.
To make your own.
There are other.
You got some woodworking skills.
That's incorrect.
I can give you a saw. Let you borrow a saw. Right? I did told you I was going to give you a saw because you need a saw. You need a saw.
I need a lot of things. I need a brain. Oh man.
So
you building something?
So Joseph he's really been getting into like
displaying stuff, right?
Sets. Yeah, like battle scenes with Star Wars.
Yeah,
like
you said he's like collecting little individual dudes to complete. Is it like a diorama sort of thing? Like a
sort of, yeah.
Like a whole.
He's getting into that.
Yeah,
he's getting into that. So he wants a display case. So he has like a Star Wars like stormtrooper battle scene thing that he's got. And he's got the like plates with the Lego bricks and he's got them on there, but it's just like on top of his dresser.
Right.
He wants a display case.
Like a glass thing?
Like a plexiglass with like a frame type of thing. So he's showing me like award like type cases that you have for like footballs and like that. Like memorabilia type cases.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to him, but it was an instructive experience because I was like, so what are you going to put in here? Like, how big do you want? And he was, what's this big? So it's like, I mean, these Lego plate things that he's got, they're like 15 inches by 15 inches. And he's got 4 of them. I'm like, Joseph, this is like 5 feet long. I was like, this is big. This is really big.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not going to be able to like lift this thing up and like arrange this stuff. So I was like, do you want to be able to like have a frame and then like be able to take off the top and rearrange the stuff? And he's like, oh yeah, that probably makes more sense. So I like talked him through it.
How tall does he need them?
Like 10 or 11 inches probably.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we're custom making this display thing.
And it's going to have multiple levels?
No. It's basically a wooden frame with like plexiglass sides.
Okay.
So like the edges are going to be all wood.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be plexiglass that he can like lift off and, play with his stuff.
Okay.
But he really wants to display. And I'm like, okay.
You're going to add lighting?
And I'm like, that's a good idea. Let's talk to him about that. Let's incorporate that into design.
I've done some lighting with some LED strips. You can cut them and solder some just cheapo wires with a switch.
Okay.
It's not hard. Archer has all these Disney Infinity action figures in one of the cabinets under the TV. And because they're all kind of really far back there, I wired in just one LED strip across the top. You can't even see it. And he knows where the switch is, just like a, rocker
He
thing.
would love that.
Yeah.
He would love that.
I don't know where you'd hide them in the glass set, though. You might need to put them on one of the...
Have to put on like the wood
one of the
part,
seams,
right?
yeah.
We'll figure something out, but that would be interesting. Okay, I'll talk to you about that. That would be kind of cool. So anyway, he conceived of this thing, and I'm like, you want to do a woodworking project together? I'll build whatever the heck you want. Okay. So we'll see once this thing actually gets built. So, but I'm like taking basically like raw chunks of wood, and we're like cutting it down, planing it, joining it, sanding, like doing the whole thing. So we're taking like big logs of wood basically and making like 3/4 inch, 5 foot long things. And I'm even like, I don't know how structurally sound this thing is going to be, but we'll try it. What the heck? If it's a huge failure, then we've spent time together, and that's an accomplishment. So
there you go.
It'll be fun.
And you can just buy one after that.
Exactly. There you go. And then last thing, I had my own project. So I got home from this trip, and it's like, I don't know if this happens with you. We have a lot of trees, and there are a lot of leaves that fall in
I've
autumn.
heard about that.
Yes. Yeah. So it seems like every year the trees get bigger and there are more leaves. Not a shock. But it seems like there's always like some leaves that start to fall for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden, everything just starts dumping down for like a week or two. And that's exactly what happened. So like I left, and there had been some leaves, and then when I came back from my trip, it's like every single day, there's like just total coverage of leaves everywhere. So I have one of those like leaf blowers, because again, I have a kind of a bigger property, so I have some yard maintenance things that not most people would have because to manage all this. So it's one of those like, you see like commercial style things, or like on a golf course or something where they have like, it's like a giant fan on wheels basically, and you just walk behind it and it blows everything to the side.
Yeah.
So I have one of those, and part of the reason I got it was because, for one, it's faster than a backpack blower in certain situations, but I saw something that I wanted to build, which is basically you build a platform with wheels on it that you attach to the front of your, like I have a 0-turn lawnmower, and then you can put this leaf blower thing on that platform on the front of the mower. And basically you can drive your 0-turn mower and have this giant leaf blower thing on it. So I'm like, I can move a lot of leaves without having to like walk around with the backpack and the whole thing. So I was like, that seems really cool. So I saw this thing, but these platform things, they're like, to buy one commercially, it's like $900. And I was like, that's insane. I have no justification for that. So I was like, but I'll learn how to weld. Like I could totally do something. And it's like, if it's a total failure, who cares? It's just my yard. So I was like, I want to try welding this thing.
Nice.
So I did it. I have not done as much welding out of aluminum. Aluminum welding is a whole different beast than welding steel. And I feel like I got to show you. We'll put the pictures up.
Yeah, I mean, usually like in olden days, the tinsmith was a completely different occupation than the blacksmith. Yeah, aluminum is interesting because I won't get all into it, but you have to weld differently with aluminum. Well, don't you use like flux and stuff like that with aluminum?
You do still use flux, but it's you weld with AC power instead of DC.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, and the best way to weld with aluminum is with a TIG welder.
Well,
that's part of why I got a TIG
aluminum,
welder.
Don't you use like a?
So yeah,
like, do you use flux? Do you use flux with steel?
You do. Yeah.
You do. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a different type of flux.
I thought,
and it's a different type of gas. That
I always thought you needed some sort of like extra adhesive with aluminum welding.
No.
Okay. Because it always seems like extra juicy around the seams. Like, so I always thought there was like extra soldering or something there.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. It's similar enough in concept to welding with steel, but typically what you see with welding aluminum is they use TIG welding, which is one where you have the gun and you have the rod in your hand and you're kind of hand feeding it, and you can do it a little more decorative and stuff like that, and you have more control, so you can do it on like thinner sheet metal and stuff a little easier, and so that process you can do with aluminum a little bit easier. You can also weld with steel. It's a whole thing. The MIG welder is the one that's just like a gun, and you can just be like,
there we go.
Little,
that's right.
When you need to weld a lot of stuff and it doesn't have to be quite as clean, you can do some MIG welder. It's a little bit easier. So I got to practice.
And does it have like a spool under it?
It does not. Nope.
How does it feed doesn't it?
So when you're TIG welding with aluminum, you're welding with AC instead of DC. So we'll get into the whole thing. What the hell? So with DC welding with steel, you're basically passing current through. You have your gun, you have your grounding clamp, and you're passing current through it. So you're basically like I'm dyslexic, so I'm going to see if I get this correctly. But
I'm going to nod no matter what you say.
The electricity is basically coming like through the gun and then coming back through the grounding clamp into the machine, and it's passing in a loop.
Sounds good to me.
So that's the basic process. So it passes through like that.
So with the stick, you're holding the flame and putting the stick in there, but with the easy version, where's the stick part coming from?
It's coming through the gun.
Like a glue gun?
So you have a spool that's in the machine, or there's some guns that technically you can weld aluminum with MIG, but you have a special gun for aluminum. But yeah, there's like a whole spool.
The closest one I've seen a welder with a spool like on the gun.
If you're MIG welding aluminum, you need a special gun to be able to do that.
Oh.
Similar in process. Both of them have flux, but both of them have the filler rod, but they use different material because the metal itself is different. So think of it like call it glue or whatever, the stuff that fuses it.
Yeah.
So basically all you're doing, you're creating an electrical short, the whole process of welding. You're creating an electrical short which creates a ton of heat, which melts the metal and fuses it together. That's all welding really is.
Oh.
That's all it is. But when you're doing that, you're melting it, and basically without any type of filler, you're just like burning a giant hole through the metal.
Oh.
So that's why you have the filler rod, because you're melting the metal and you're adding filler rod to like get in there and like fuse the parts together.
I never knew that it was a short that caused the heat.
Yeah, that's all it is.
So your hobby is controlled.
Yeah, because if you think about
controlled
it, like,
electrical mishaps, and your profession is controlled
you are
leaks.
creating a controlled electrical short. That's all welding is.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's why, like, especially with TIG welding, it's so part of the reason it's so artistic is because you have to hold it like, you know, maybe a quarter of an inch off the surface. That's what's creating the short, is because you're not actually making contact.
You need that connection, that little
You need
connection
that
between
short.
the ground.
It's not like, have you ever unplugged something from the electrical outlet and it kind of sparks for a second?
Yeah, but only when it's that distance away.
Exactly. So you're doing that intentionally and holding it there, creating that spark, which creates a ton of heat, like 3,000 to 5,000 degree heat, hot enough to melt metal, you know? And like some of these, depending on how strong it is, it can be as hot as the surface of the sun. Like that, you're melting metal in a controlled manner.
I mean, that makes sense.
Fusing it together.
Metal
But that's why it takes
easily.
so much practice.
Does aluminum melt like way quicker than steel?
So the challenge, it can, yeah. Well, aluminum dissipates heat a lot faster.
That too.
Yeah.
It's like a heat sink.
So that's a whole thing.
Yeah, heat sinks are all aluminum.
Yeah. So that's its own challenge. But the challenge you have with aluminum is it oxidizes in a different way than steel does. So aluminum, you actually can't weld with direct current. You have to use alternating current. And you have what's called like an AC balance. So what's happening is the electricity is actually...
Is that Tesla or Edison?
That is... Crap, I can't remember which
Neither
one
do
is...
I.
I can't remember which one is which.
I can't either.
I don't remember. But
That person knows.
But when you're welding with aluminum, you have more control because you're alternating the current. So sometimes it's flowing through the gun and into the ground back to the machine, and sometimes it's reversing. And when it's reversing, what it's doing is it's pulling the oxidation off the aluminum. That's why aluminum doesn't rust, because it like naturally oxidizes and it helps protect it. Whereas steel will rust like immediately. If you leave raw steel out in the rain, it'll rust in like hours.
Oh yeah, I'm deciding that all of my cookie sheets now are going to be aluminum.
There you go.
Yeah.
But like aluminum pans, you touch it and it's friggin' hot because like it absorbs heat so quickly.
Also, they don't agree with dishwasher chemicals. I will say that.
Yes.
They get nasty.
So there's all these...
And there's that
all these
gray
different
stuff
considerations, right?
That gray stuff that appears on them, which is oxidation.
Yep. Yep.
But yet they don't rust.
They react to different chemicals and all these types of things. So you have to deal with all this with aluminum versus steel. So I'll at least show you the thing that I built. So we'll post these pictures up there. So it attaches to the front of my mower. And then it's got this whole frame, and I got hinges up here because when you're going on the yard, things bouncing up and down. So it's just this like flat platform, and I have, just square tubing that I like welded on there. And then I have these tires that can just rotate all the way around. So as I'm backing up and
that
going around.
is awesome. You basically built a vehicle.
Kind of.
Like I want to ride that thing.
You could technically.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would hold your weight, but not that you're heavy.
You need to work on those welds then.
I do. Well, so that's the thing is I built this thing and I started using it and it was great. And then I broke it already.
Oh no.
So now I have to fix it.
Oh, where did it break?
It broke at my welds. So what happened?
The top ones?
It was, I'm finding like where my weak points are. It broke basically like right at the welds, right at the bottom of the platform before it comes up and attaches to the lawnmower. And what happened was I was going from my yard to a part of my paved driveway, and there was like too much of a dip there, and the wheels kind of got caught. And it's essentially like I slammed it into a wall. So I just it took all the weight of the mower, just like slammed into it.
Oh, well, that's not your welds fault.
Honestly,
it's probably if your
it
weld
would have had to be really strong to resist what
right, but
I
then
did there.
but then that might have done damage to the mower.
I mean, theoretically, but ultimately,
You did the right thing
if
by
everything
making
was-
disposable welds. You did a good job.
let's go with that.
Yeah.
It actually ended up breaking.
It's a shock absorber.
It ended up breaking like the hub of the wheel too, which I didn't even weld that. I bought those wheels, so so now I got to weld that wheel part back on, and so I'm like, okay, I'm like doing this. I'm fixing things and breaking things.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, but
You can build a
I
go-kart.
can wrap my head. Yes, I very well could.
That's cool.
Believe me, I've flagged a few videos and watched.
I'm not
some, and
surprised
I'm
at
like,
all.
But I'm also like, yeah, where? No, I'm just Rachel wouldn't. I don't think she would be on board with that.
Well,
A homemade go kart for like me and my kids to ride around.
homemade dune buggy.
That would be so fun.
Yeah.
That would be so fun.
Yeah.
I don't think I would trust myself that I would build it well enough. Like I would be
I-
building a death trap for myself.
Nonsense. I trust you, Brian. Dune
Oh,
buggy.
no.
You've got plenty of yard. You need to be able to easily
I don't
traverse
have that much yard.
from.
but I could do it though. That would be so much fun.
Who needs to walk when you can
We'll
build a
see.
dune
We'll
buggy?
see. We'll see.
Yes, we will.
Anyway, so I am learning a lot of things with the whole aluminum welding thing. So that's my crazy project of the moment.
Wow.
And then of course, like I broke the thing, and then as I needed to use it, I ran out of argon gas, which is what you need to weld with a TIG welder. And that's the only way that I can weld aluminum right now. So I was like, I broke this and I ran out of gas. And the place is not
Is
open.
argon a combination of gases, or is that is that
Nope.
is that an element?
It's an element,
Dang.
straight up argon. Yeah,
Straight up argon. Where does that come from?
a welding gas supplier.
Just the earth.
Oh, believe me, when I got into welding, I was like,
Where
what is this? What is this upside down world that I'm dealing with?
I'm trying to think.
You're
of
like
where
dealing. There's like special places where you buy this kind of stuff.
how do people harvest like helium and argon and stuff like that?
Where
do you
I don't know about argon, but helium. Like you have to get it. You have to like I don't know. You have to mine it from somewhere.
You
Like
have to mine helium?
yeah, there's actually kind of like a helium shortage. So I hear.
I did know that.
Yeah, but it's like a naturally occurring thing. There's
I
only
know
so much
nothing
helium.
about gas mining. I mean, everybody knows. Whenever anybody pictures about earth, like mineral mining, you know that makes sense. You just pull it out of rock. But
Where does argon gas come from?
gas mining.
Argon is industrial extracted from liquid air in a cryogenic air separation unit by means of fractional distillation.
What?
When nitrogen gas present in the atmosphere is heated using hot calcium or magnesium, a nitride is formed, leaving behind small amount of argon as an impurity.
So they don't mine it. They freeze air and then rip it out of the frozen crystal chunks
I guess.
and then let it go back to gas.
I guess so.
Ooh, that's kind of cool. Maybe that's what they do with helium too.
I don't know about helium, but
Science.
interesting. Yeah. So anyway, pure argon is what you use when you're doing TIG welding. Yeah. It's just an inert gas that helps keep it from oxidizing when you're creating sparks that are as hot as the sun. It's a very fascinating process. What's even cooler is plasma cutting. That's a whole other thing. I haven't done that yet. But
Isn't that like using lava?
It's like lightning.
Yeah.
You're creating plasma. Yeah, it's lightning.
That's cool.
It can get up to 40,000 degrees, which is very hot. You can cut like inch-thick plate steel in seconds. It's incredible, but it's absolutely terrifying. I technically can. I have a plasma cutter like thing on my welder. I have not used it yet because it terrifies me, but it's possible. Anyway, yay, adventures with Brian.
Yes, indeed.
So apparently I'm not world-class welder either because I'm breaking all my junk. But
Speaking about breaking things,
I'm able to do a lot of things pretty mediocre,
except
if you
know how
put enough of them-
except know how defrost works.
except for defrost. I still.
That's the mystery of the universe.
I have this blind spot when it comes to cars.
Dude,
like,
I don't know. Dude, I don't know half the things like what you're talking about.
I try with cars. It's rough.
I-
Some people just get it. I don't.
No, I don't either. I left in high school. There was a class that I started called Principles of Technology,
Okay.
and the first thing he said, day one, all right, to succeed in this class, you will need to know two things: a rudimentary, know-how of car parts, and how to long divide. And I said,
You're like,
and the next day I was a teacher's
I'll see you
assistant
later.
in drama
there you go.
for the rest of the year, which I failed the year before, by the way. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
I was thinking about being an engineering student in college because I was undecided when I did my major. And the first class I went to was just the English class that was required for the engineering students. It wasn't even an engineering class. But I get there first day and she has a list of like 10 books. And she's like, these are the books you're going to need to read by the time we have the first test. And I was like, farewell.
Yeah.
I'll see you later. Because I can't read
Yeah,
very well.
No,
and
even
it was
in
like,
high
this is
school,
going to be impossible.
I had long since forgot how to long divide. Like that was like,
I don't know either. That's a
well, even in high school, I didn't know. That was like
Nope, I got a
middle school
calculator.
stuff. No,
that's all good.
Not. Garbage.
Anyway,
Oh man.
So extended version of what's happening there, but
Extended version of the whole Pencast.
Yeah.
This is we've already broken the record.
Indeed, chop this up, save half of it, and then
because we're not no Pencast next week. So
which you can't save half of it. Because
this is an extra chunky version.
We are more than halfway through for sure. But that's all we got for that part of it. We got a couple company updates, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up. All right. Well, the company updates we are celebrating the Goulet Pen's 13-year anniversary.
Are we?
This week? I mean, it's happening. we're not really doing much. This is the awful part about the timing of our company anniversary.
I know.
Especially since Fountain Pen Day started. We got Fountain Pen Day, we got Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Thanksgiving, all this other stuff. I'm like, we do not have time or capacity to do anything special for any of our anniversaries.
No.
We always have intentions, and it never happens. But
sometimes I do
the date is here.
I do like a scavenger hunt activity. I didn't do it this year and haven't done it since COVID began. So it's been a couple years.
It is a good time, though.
I'll do it again next year.
That'd be fun. But anyway, we're at least we're doing like a Thanksgiving lunch for our team, and
that'll be awesome.
Having fun, and we'll say that it's our anniversary and say woo, and try and update
as long
a
as we say
picture.
woo.
As long as we say woo, exactly.
There we go.
As
long as can we drop our phones sometimes too?
I think that would be good.
Good job.
I just dropped my phone on the floor. It was like feeling it slowly sliding off my leg, and I was like, I'm holding an open container of water.
Maybe we can share.
Let it go.
Let's at least share like an old garage picture from back when.
Oh, we can do something like that.
Yeah. I can put a couple oldie pictures up up for you guys.
Yeah, ye oldie Goulet pens. If you are interested or know somebody who's interested, a marketing specialist, we're still actively interviewing for that. So you can check the Join Our Team page to apply and send people there. If you want somebody who's involved in this kind of stuff. And then we have published a couple of videos. We had a fountain pen misconceptions video, which we got out a couple of weeks ago at this point, last week-ish, yeah.
Yep.
And then this week, if all goes to plan, we got a TWSBI brand overview video, where basically I cover every TWSBI model.
I'm super excited about seeing this. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well, you'll see it. It's not like crazy long. It's like 18 minutes or so.
Yeah, but you've been playing it
I cover everything.
While.
I cover all the pens, ink.
That's a lot to
pipe,
cover.
The ink walls, everything. I'm just like, this is all the TWSBI stuff. This is what makes them all different.
Pipe.
I cover it all.
The pipe and schwipe.
That's right. So
nice.
Good stuff happening. We're going to get a little quieter around Thanksgiving time, but then we'll pick things back up in December.
Yes.
And those are the company updates. And now we're going to wrap this thing up. Well, we want to thank you all for watching this probably record-setting Pencast.
We do. It was so nice to be back.
It really is. It's really good to be here.
Miss you guys.
That's right. Please leave us feedback on how we're doing in the comments. Ask us some questions so that we can answer them on the show. We're taking off next week, but we'll be back the week after that, assuming that we don't get sick from all of our family.
And we need questions. I'm fresh out.
Oh.
Not fresh out, but I'm nearing.
If you don't give us questions, we're going to have to make them up and then be like, make up random family members.
I'll ask on Instagram next week. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, you can leave it. But I do read all the comments too. Like the one of these was from YouTube comment, I believe. So you can do YouTube comments too.
Cool. Check out gouletpens.com. We got a lot of stuff going on. We'll have some sale stuff that's happening. We're not doing anything crazy, but we have some sale things that'll be happening for the whole Black Friday, Cyber Monday stuff. I think we're going to plan on kicking it off the beginning of next week. We're still finalizing it, but we got some things. Go check out all the new stuff that we talked about. And you can email us at pencast@gouletpens.com if that's the best way to do it. And I have a random fact for you. So, have you ever been falling asleep and suddenly you kind of just jerk yourself awake?
All the time.
Yeah. It apparently has a name. It is called a hypnic jerk.
Okay.
I did not know. I've experienced this thing many times in my life. It's also known as a hypnagogic jerk.
Ooh, hypnagogic.
Yeah. A sleep start, a sleep twitch, a myoclonic jerk, or a night start.
Why does it need so many names?
I don't know, but I'm going with hypnic jerk because that was the main one that I saw. It is defined as a brief and sudden involuntary contraction of the muscles of the body which occur when a person is beginning to fall asleep, often causing the person to jump and awaken suddenly for a moment, and are often accompanied by a feeling of falling. I know I had that feeling. I'll be starting the dream phase, and I feel like I'm like walking down the sidewalk and I trip or whatever, and I like jerk myself awake, and I'm like, what just happened? You know, and like you instantly kind of jolt and your heart races, that kind of a thing.
I never have dreams when I'm falling asleep. Those only happen like.
No?
I mean, no, that's not true. That's not true. But I never get the sense of falling when I do the jerk. That's
Okay.
always.
I don't always have that, but I've had that before.
Oh.
Hypnic jerks are one form of involuntary muscle twitches called myoclonus. Hypnic jerks are a common physiological phenomena. Around 70% of people experience them at least once in their lives, with 10% of people experiencing them daily. Like, that's a lot. I don't experience it daily, but I definitely experience it like on a somewhat regular basis.
I usually play video games until I do that every night.
So you fall more into the daily category.
Yeah,
Look
because
at you, 10%.
It's cozy. I'm on that big love sack.
Yeah.
I've got my headphones on, so I'm listening to like Japanese leaves rustling and horse steps with
There you
like a flute in the background. And when I'm like do that a couple times, I'm like, all right, it's time to go to bed, Drew.
There you go.
You're done.
That's called a hypnic jerk.
Throw in the towel. Yeah, it's
You're
like
in,
it's like a sign for me. Go to
There you
bed.
go. So they're benign and they do not cause any neurological complications. So you don't need
Unless
to worry
you have
about
a
it.
brick wall in front of you when you do it.
I mean, I guess that could happen. So I do have a funny hypnic jerk story.
You have a funny hypnic jerk story.
I do.
Please.
This is since it's not a long enough pencast.
No. We need this.
So I was in
your content.
I was in college. I went to Virginia Tech and I was in the Corps of Cadets, which meant that I had to wake up very early, run like 6 miles, and do a zillion push-ups. So I was already tired by the time my like 8 a.m. classes would start. So I was in a class one time. There wasn't a huge class. There were maybe 50 people in the classroom, but it was like stadium seating, but stadium with like a table in front of you. So, you know, there's like the whole like platform is like 5 feet.
Yeah.
And it had like a seat with a table that like wrapped around the whole thing. So you're like in there and okay, that's fine. So I was like maybe 3 or 4 platforms back or something like that. But I'm like in uniform, so I stick out like a sore thumb because every cadet does in a larger civilian population campus. So I'm there and I'm tired and I'm doing the whole thing like you do.
You have to
when
wear that
play
thing the
video
whole day?
games. Yeah, all day, every day. Yeah.
Oh my.
Except at night, yeah. But yeah, that's the whole thing.
Oh.
Especially as a freshman. Yeah. You gotta wear it
Wow.
all the time. Yep. You're basically in a military school
I didn't know that.
within the
I thought you only
campus.
had to do that when you did the specific activities for that
Nope.
thing. Oh wow.
Nope. Pretty much all the time. Yep. So that was the whole thing. Anyway, but so I was there, sticking out like a sore thumb in my class, trying so hard to be a good student. And I'm tired and I start to nod off a little bit and I do the hypnic jerk thing. The only thing is I had my pencil in my hand and when I jerked awake, of course, I'm the only one making a drastic movement in the classroom. But when I do that, I fling my pencil out of my hand and it like hits on the table and then it goes down like several levels. So I like do this movement, which brings a lot of attention to me. I'm in uniform and I'm a big guy too. And I'm like fit and all this kind of
Oh my
stuff.
god.
And then in order to go and get my pencil, I have to stand up, go all the way to the side, walk down the stairs, like several platforms, go and get my pencil and come all the way back up.
Oh.
It was one of these like The Office, Michael Scott type of moments where you're just like, this is going on so long. And like no one didn't notice this happening.
Like just cut away to something else.
Yeah, so that
cut away
was
to a different scene.
That was my funny
Oh,
hypnic
man.
jerk story in front of all these people. Whatever. I didn't know any of them, but
They all remember that though.
I'm sure they do.
They do.
As a cadet in a school like that, you kind of get used to like sticking out a little bit. So
And throwing pencils.
and throwing pencils. Yeah.
That's what they do. Those crazy cadets.
We're usually the ones that like are running around the campus, like getting yelled at or yelling at others doing push-ups and stuff, like while the hippies are hacky sacking and throwing frisbees on the drill field. We're the ones
No
like
worries, bro.
army crawling across the drill field and stuff.
Some
And
worries.
everybody's like, man, they're so weird. But we're like, this used to be an all-military school. This was like what everybody did.
Oh really? At Virginia Tech? I never knew that.
Yep, until 1962. And then it would transition a little bit. You had to do it. Yeah. So everybody prior to that was full on, military. Yeah.
How about that?
And then it transitioned. And now it's like 1% of the campus.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's like you really stick out
Oh wow.
a lot. But same with Texas A&M. They're the other school that has a big military within a civilian campus. Yeah. you have your like West Point and VMI and like the Navy school.
Yeah, those
and
are the
all that.
obvious ones.
Yeah, so it's basically take that and plop it into like Ohio State or USC or like that size school. So you have like a full military program within a larger campus. That's what it's like. And it's interesting and pretty awkward, but it's kind of fun. First snowfall, there's always a fight between the cadets and like the, you know, civilian population. It's pretty fun. You have like a snowball war.
If you wanted to get vengeance on anybody that points at you and really ridicules you, now's your chance.
It's pretty fun.
Nice.
Yeah. The cadets usually do pretty well because
Nice.
we're very organized and fit, and most of the rest of the population is drunk. So it's pretty easy to win a snowball fight.
That's awesome.
Anyway, fun stories from my college days. But anyway, thanks for this extended, sticking with us on this extended Pencast. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Right on.